Just comb your hair, go and wash your face. It's been a real long time since you've seen the light of day. So let thoughts colors they may, beauty and parade. Everybody all smiles when you're back in the seat again. All aboard the Petty Express to a beautiful darkness. It's full steam ahead to ride the rails to our next destination. Yeah!
Welcome everyone. The Petty Express is back. Sorry for not having a Petty Express yesterday, but like you guys, I am talking maybe 2 to 10 minutes after I turned off the stream. Now bless his heart, Mr. Mo was trying to help. I have a foot bath that keeps the water warm. But I didn't realize he had put cold water in, so I went into full body spasms, which don't hurt as much. I mean, they don't hurt. It's just weird not having control of your body. So, Mr. Mo, I'm over here like spazzing out, and I'm saying, Mr. Mo, this doesn't hurt, but I need warm water. If you could pour that out and just put warm water in, that would be great. You know, as I'm like, can't control my body, which I haven't gotten on film yet. I did, in a weird part of my mind, want to film this to kind of show the reality of what I deal with off camera, but I wasn't going to get up at that moment to share, and having CRPS means that I will have another opportunity to film that. That being said, I do hope that we get some more gems, because I do believe, let me scout through this, I believe she is on for the rest of the morning. I will tell you guys, at this point, I had solid, like Stacy, it wasn't self-defense. I still don't think it's self-defense, but I still don't think we've gotten the true story. And I cannot wait until Stacy gets on the stand and we get a little bit. Now, I have heard that Stacy gets grilled on the stand, and we are currently in verdict watch if you are on the current timeline. But we are on day 5. I have it at 1.25. If it's too fast, let me know. But, and as always, thank you to Justice is a Process. Go over and sub to them. They have done an excellent job with boosting the audio a little bit and taking out all the breaks. So they will definitely be a go-to for me going forward. So definitely go give them a sub and support them, since, we are using their edited feed. That would be great. I also need to write a thank you note to them when I remember it. I'm going through pictures right now, and I love that I have a task now to find pictures to make a reel for a memorial, but it's kind of hard when you don't know the family, and I'm looking at younger pictures and I'm like, ooh, maybe. So I have a bunch of maybe piles that I need to get confirmation, like, is this the person that I think it is? Because I've tried to, forensicate it, but I want to make sure. So I function better when I have a task. So I'm very excited to have a task and get to digitize all this family history. But it is a little hard when you're not in the family and you're trying to, 1950s Polaroid. But it is fun getting to see everyone and find old pictures and things like that, and pull out things that I think people will appreciate. So that is nice.
That and picking one versus the other, would you have kids in diapers at this time?
I did have a daughter in diapers.
Okay. And so in aspects of your relationship with Javi, was that always a point of contention in the previous aspect?
Yes.
Okay. Moving to page 5 just briefly. Starts that all the time and money probably for the rest of my life, when his crybaby ass is both our problem. You see that?
Right.
Okay. But then it says, but if you keep fucking around and disrespecting my name, I'm assign the rights over to you and see how the fuck you like it. So your family could really have a reason to disrespect my name. Fair?
Yes.
And specifically, it said how TF you like it. How do you interpret TF?
The fuck?
Okay. I love you more than anything, but don't play me stupid anymore. Show me some respect and loyalty. I'm not asking for your love. I assume you're far from that. But honesty, your actions are making me change my decision. So at this point, I love you enough to set out rules. Don't ever.
That is a warning flag. Warning flag. Red flag. I mean, I don't know how much louder I can say it. I love you, but I'm going to give you some rules. Especially after they have just said that they were going to, threaten your family. Love and threat should not be in the same sentence. I don't care who you love. I don't care what you do as long as consenting adults. But kiddos out there, Mama Mo says, this is a red flag. Do not, get in a relationship who has love and threats in the same daggone letter. And welcome, Living Life with FND. Welcome.
Ever disrespect my motherfucking name again and respect me enough to not
And
fuck
demonetized.
with no one like that.
Really, court trial? You really had to do that? You really had to go? Final form Jesus activated. Just have to demonetize me right off the way. YouTube, I would like to explain that was the trial. I said no potty words yet. It is not after 3 hours. I am a goodish person sometimes.
And trust me, I'll find out. When you go back, you gonna cut your fucking side, bitch, lady, ugly ass, dyke, 100% off. Don't sit with the bitch. Don't look at the bitch. Don't breathe around the bitch.
I believe we have lesbian on lesbian crime here, and I don't know which side I'm supposed to take. Is it a slur if another lesbian calls another one a dyke, or is it considered like the rap word that I'm not allowed to say versus, I'm asking for a friend because I don't know the rules. Yeah, MLS, this trial is great for getting demonetized. Just potty words. We are reading prison correspondence between the defendant, Stacy, and the state's witness, star witness, who, was adjacent to honesty, if not completely honest. But the prosecutor is now reading the, prison pen pal letters between these two lovebirds. And really, it is an indictment on the Federal Education Commission as a whole. That being said, let's continue.
Understand?
Yes.
See it in his
Oh, for the love
Then
of
it talks about unless she's worth it, and then it says her or your main threes. How many kids do you have?
3.
I trust that you'll make the right choice. Throughout this time, did you feel like your family was threatened?
Yes.
I still can't believe you let a bitch like that fuck you, bro. Then you wanted people to watch her fuck you? You a whole different type of hoe. One more mistake and I'm gonna done drop.
Her hoacity is being leveled up. Apparently, she has become the final form Hozar of Pokemon. What are we reading? Her level of hodacity was higher than Stacy expected. There you go.
I'll drop all my problems in your lap, understand? So funny how you sat in there, told me, don't take anything personal from here on out, in quotation marks. Remember that letter? Laugh out loud, bitch. How about if I tell you that? Knowing damn right what the fuck I'm gonna do for you, and yes, you, cause that could change, okay? Did you interpret that as a threat?
Yes.
Is there a way not to interpret that as a threat?
I don't believe so.
And it goes on, how fucking stupid you sound, and look, you say...
This prosecutor is like, knees weak, palms sweaty, eating mom's spaghetti. But Rabbit knows that he's got to make this change. It's his only shot. Come on, he listened to Eminem on the way to court to give it an extra little oomph. Or at least he did in my head canon.
that talk shit about me, then go fuck that ugly bitch. You need to learn self-respect. And if you like it or not, you're going to put some on my name. If I love you so much, I really do. But you can't keep doing this, cheating, fucking around, talking shit, making me look bad. You did that out there too much, motherfucker. Much, and that's going to change while you sitting in there. But moving on, I hope I've made myself clear.
No, you haven't,
make yourself
sweetheart. I
clear?
don't understand.
Moving on, later in that paragraph, switches
It
back.
continues.
She talks, I hope you know my loyalty runs with you and always will, no matter what we go through, no matter what type of way you feel, about what mood you're in. You're the love of my life, and my heart will always belong to you, and you only. We've literally.
Oh my God, you guys, I just pictured Stacy and Hosanna on the Titanic doing one of these things. My heart will go on and on. Okay, so honestly, do we think Hosanna or Stacy would push the other one off the door? Because one of them's going to go, and you know they aren't loyal. So is Stacy going to get on the door like Rose at the end and push Hosanna off? Or will Hosanna get the door and push Stacy off? Sorry, thank you for taking this tangent into what my mind is thinking. There really is no therapy for it.
Really been through everything together. Laugh my fucking ass off. That's all on one page.
Yes.
What in the schizophrenia did I just read?
And finally, ma'am, the last page talks about, it starts when you pull up to human being. You see that, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Drink your coffee. Love the fuck out of you. Laugh out loud. Thank you for all the good memories. Please don't hate in your heart. You're more than that. You're so beautiful in every way. Yeah, we was on some dumb shit with each other, but no matter what, I love how you made me feel. Where are my whole world? You're all I ever think. You ran through my fucking mind. Right?
Right.
Goes on.
Okay. Neither of these chicks who, let me say, as a semi-fluffy who hates running, neither of these two chicks were running through each other's mind, okay? It was a fastest walk or a waddle. Normally, I don't make fun of people's bodily appearance, weight-wise, because I've struggled with it myself, but these two are just redonkulous. So, ain't nobody running through anyone's mind, okay?
To say all day.
I mean, I
all
shuffle
MF
through Mr.
day
Bo's
and
mind.
more. I've been having dreams about you. I hate it when I wake up. I want to stay in them forever. I wish I could be with you forever. All I ever wanted to make you happy. Hopefully someone will. I miss you so much, stupid. I hope you miss me too. Shake my head. And then it transitions. Says, how are you holding up though? I hope well, because I know you not a little.
There's no question.
I'm just reading the exhibit.
What's the problem?
All right, that's fine. Mr. Praley, you can continue. And if there's specific things that you're referring to, will you just clarify her where those are located?
I will. And then specifically at this point, it says, how you holding up though? I hope well, because I know you're not a.
Wait, you're telling me these prison missives didn't have correct grammar? So that the defense attorney is making it, she's like, look, it's not a question. She put a period. I mean, it's not our fault that your client is stupid. He just read it as it was meant to be read because it's a question. You know, Stacy's the one that forgot the question mark.
A little bitch. And this female saying you would be on some shit in her room said it was all because I put you through this, or put you through. Is that true? Specifically in that, is it referencing the fact that other people are talking what you have been through because of her?
Right.
And then she finishes the letter by saying she loves you. You're the best female she's ever had. Is that fair?
Yes.
She gives
And
you
again,
5 stars.
do you believe this was written by the defendant?
Yes.
Now, you had previously referred to the fact that in 204, the note to flush, that specifically referred to what as a name?
Baby Joker.
And you've testified at length as to Baby Joker.
Right.
You heard the defense cross you on the fact, well, she just refers to this as Baby or Joker, right?
Right.
But not both. 204 shows you that on the note to flush.
I'm going to object to mischaracterization of questions and evidence. I never asked her about the word Joker.
All right, I'll overrule the objection. Ladies and gentlemen, you as the finders of fact.
I'll overrule the jack off. I mean, look, you know he was going to say it. I love this judge. This judge was about to turn this trial around, and no one was getting a Frosty on the end of day 4. If you need comic hilariousness, The day 4 to 5 stream is just full of gems like "You're my whole ass soulmate," which is a love declaration that I believe I can get behind. Now, it is also could be "You're my hoe ass soulmate," which does change the connotations a little bit and makes it easier to put on a t-shirt. Just letting y'all know I am working on one. Mr. Mo got that. He's like, I thought you were calling me a jerk or an ass. Of course, then I sent him a picture of Loki in a Hawaiian shirt, which is our cat. Here, because he was confused as to what I meant about anything, if I'm honest. Now, that being fair, he did. So I sent him this picture right after. And he was legitimately confused. But everyone needs a picture of a cat in a Hawaiian shirt looking gravely disgruntled just to make their day better. And I try to help it. Oh, I'm so sorry. You didn't get the job because of being discriminated against because of my disability. I can't drive and I have to use a walker. Well, as a person who has to use a walker sometimes too, that just sucks. I wish I had better words. That just sucks. And hopefully, God or the universe saying no to this means he's going to say yes to something you can't even imagine. Because I've had that a lot in my life where I'm like, why did you say no to this? Or why didn't I get this? Or why are you letting this happen? And then things will work out in a way that something good happens that I never would have expected. But it is disappointing, and you have every right to feel absolutely just pissed off. Because I feel pissed off for you. Hang out with us. We have all the dark humor and apparently all the curse words. I will say that this particular trial has had really good defense attorneys. I may not particularly like the sort of narrative that they're telling, but they are successfully being very, keeping the state on its toes and being good, asking good questions. They really grilled this particular witness. I don't agree with their narrative or what they're trying to sell as far as Stacy being a poor, defenseless 19-year-old victim of a creepy old man that made her have to stab him 5 times in the neck with a metal file. But I get what they're doing. Now, I don't think it will be successful, but they have been really good. And I want, I want defendants to have good attorneys, so when the adjudication happens, it's not rife for appeals and, everyone's rights are being respected.
In this matter, is it up to you to determine what the evidence has shown in this case? Mr. Pralia, go ahead.
Is it again your testimony that the defendant referred to herself as Baby Joker as shown by that note?
Yes.
On this last page, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you see the writing at the very bottom?
Yes.
What's it say?
Baby Joker.
If we could zoom in on that. Do you have any other concerns that this was written by the defendant?
No.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And now for those of you who didn't know, basically there were some claims by Hosanna, the woman that's on the stand, that in their relationship, so Stacy and Hosanna's relationship, there were allegations of DV and different things. Now, it was never documented by the police, so this testimony had a corrective or sort of limiting instruction at the beginning where the jury is only supposed to take this testimony in account for why Hosanna might not have gone to police right after the crime. Now, however you split it, Hosanna still, by her own words and testimony, handed the metal file to Stacy when Christopher Dickerson was on the ground and then left the room and heard sounds of a struggle, bones snapping, rubber kind of sounds of the stabbing. She did nothing to change it. No one was blocking the doors. She didn't call 911. So she has been adjudicated guilty for accessory to murder and I think accessory after the fact for the arson and is facing 32 years. Now, with the plea that she made with the state, they would not stand in the way of the judge lessening her sentence, but there is no firm sort of what she will get out of this if this testimony proves useful to the state. She was good on direct. There were a lot of inconsistencies during cross, and she's always felony adjacent. She is never, she's very careful to make sure that she is not linked to any of the felonies that she's putting on Stacy. And it's a little hard to believe that when they live together, were, together like two peas in a pod during this time period. So that's kind of where we stand on this trial. I do think the evidence, the formal evidence, has been pretty damning, but we are just really trying to get through this to see what Stacy will say on the stand. Since it is a case of self-defense, Stacy she doesn't have to testify, but in order to get the jury to understand why it was reasonable in her mind and why it should be reasonable in their minds that she had to perform self-defense, she will have to testify. But let's get back to Baby Joker, because I'm intrigued.
And
It
Ms.
kind of looks
Devereaux,
like Baby
actually, from the
Jobber.
party's approach.
We have had more sidebars in this trial than we have had days. But I will say the defense is very on it. They really understand that this is the witness that they have to discredit. This is the witness that they have to show has motivations to shade Stacy as the worst person in the world. I will say, on an optics level, the defense has done a terrible job of making Stacy look like a vulnerable young woman. Now, I know they're limited on, clothing that they can give her, but her hair so tightly in what we would consider almost prison braids or very tight braids, and then a solid black color makes her look very imposing. She's a bigger woman. She's a larger woman. I think she's maintained kind of the same body structure. But she doesn't look vulnerable. And if you're going to try to sell that this was a vulnerable young 19-year-old who was scared for her life and had to take a life, this is not the look that you want. Also, when the autopsy photos were up, Miss Stacy was in there. And I do mean like very graphic autopsy photos, because they had to do very intricate layer by layer dissection of the man's throat to see where exactly all of these wounds were and what vital structures they hit. Not to mention he was burned beyond all recognition. They burnt his house after they took some of his items and left him dead on the floor and burnt his house. So I don't see Stacy getting off, but she might get, second degree if the jury believes that there was a moment of passion or some sort of that. I think you could get that for the first stab. The subsequent other 4 stabs, I think, would be considered first degree premeditated murder because, you chose to keep stabulating. But I am not a lawyer, so take that with a pound of ramen noodle seasoning or MSG. She's also constantly fidgeting and just looking fairly uncomfortable or not bothered. The only time she really showed interest was in the autopsy photos. That she was really looking forward, deeply investigating them. It was quite unsettling, considering the amount of dissection they needed.
Devereaux, go ahead and proceed.
Oh God, it's Penny Problem voice, and I can't drink. Damn. Warning for those of you just jumping in, we have a level 3 HR voice coming on. She does uptalk, and she is insanely smarmy. So, gird your loins, people. We're going into annoying voice territory. Buckle your seatbelts. And they take forever. I have never seen more mosey in a northern court, I swear. Good morning, Bad Duck. It could have been a fully
So
auto.
I want to start this morning sort of where Mr. Perelia left off. And this note, Mr. Bros, can you zoom back in to where Mr. Perelia had it, please? Let's do right here, this area. I think this is where he had it. Thank you. That's perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I am slightly terrified, you guys. Let me find my portfolio. All right, you guys, I'm not saying anything, but we have similar handwriting. I have never called myself Baby Joker, though. Look, Scout's honor, I've only called myself a Chaos Demon. But now I need to go to a therapist because we have similar handwriting.
Ma'am, you testified, Mr. Perelia, on redirect regarding these jail letters that you believe to be from Ms. Rodriguez, right?
Right.
And as we talked about originally, the Weld County Jail does not have like an inmate-to-inmate postal service, right?
Right.
And so you would have had to get these letters from another inmate, right?
Right.
And it's actually against the rules to be doing that, right?
Right.
And Mr. Perelia, you testified that these letters.
Gem, this case is a gem. I love you 5 ever. Disband the federal education department. They have obviously let this woman graduate with the skills that she is showing.
And we heard it threaten your children.
Right.
Your interpretation of that was, right?
Right.
Your family.
Yes.
And as we've seen, we've heard, you took these purported threats very seriously, right?
Yes.
There's something that deeply impacted you, right?
Right.
And
She's leading
you
you
have
into
these
a
letters
trap,
threatening
Admiral
your
Akbar.
3 children's lives.
Yes.
No one matters more to you than your children, right?
Yes.
And you believe, according to the testimony of Mr. Perelia, that she means business, right?
Right.
Because she had just killed someone for no reason, right?
Right.
You believe that she's killed multiple other people, right?
Yes.
You
Good
now believe she's in
morning.
gangs, right?
Yes.
And yet you don't tell a single deputy, police officer in the jail, hey, my kid's lives.
Wait. We're assuming that cops in jail haven't, or, corrections officers haven't ever in the history of ever been on the take of some other bad guys to smuggle stuff in. Yeah, I'd tell my lawyer. I wouldn't tell the police. Of all the things that I think that this woman failed at, not telling the police and only telling your lawyer that you're getting threats doesn't seem that far-fetched to me.
Are in jeopardy here.
I did tell my lawyers.
That's not
that
my
they came
question.
and saw me.
That's not my question. You never told a single police officer, right?
Yeah, not a deputy.
And not a single police report was ever made, right?
Objection, Judge, again, scope. Is this one of the 4 categories?
I think this goes into what's been, what the court has described as the 404B abuse general category. So I will allow this questioning.
Thank you.
Right?
Right.
Not a single police report. So your lawyers aren't like, hey, oh my God, my client's kids are in jeopardy. I better call the police and report this so the police can look into this, right?
Right.
Then we see, I just picked this portion of the letter randomly because it was up last. And, Your Honor, can I have the pointer? The stick,
I
please?
think
Oh,
it's
for
up there.
God.
Is
Please
that right?
don't point.
Oh, I'm sorry, the deputy has it.
Yeah, I'm showing you, there's some really, you can have a microphone. Just-
Oh,
Thank you. So we see that the handwriting has a very unique way of doing eyes, right? These circles,
Yes.
and it's throughout the jail.
Wait, how is the lawyer testifying as an expert in handwriting? And I'm not trying to be an ass. I've noticed the unique circle on the eye, but the state should be asking where this lawyer got her degree in, handwritingology. I think it's graphiology, but I don't know. But still, this woman and this lawyer has testified forever. I understand during cross you can ask leading questions, but these were just her testifying all the way.
Mr. Rodriguez, right?
Right.
Ma'am, you wrote quite a bit of letters going through, let's say, your initial arrest until your proffer, right?
Right.
And I mean letters coming in and out of the jail, right? To your family and friends and loved ones, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you would recognize those because you wrote them, right?
Yes.
So, ma'am, what's interesting about these letters is they're your handwriting, right?
Yes.
Right. And what's interesting is if you look at, and I'll show you in a moment so you can agree with me, the way you write your eyes up until April 4th were always just like a regular dot, right?
Right.
Not this circle, right? And I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
But then come April 4th, that changes. And I'm going to ask to approach and show you right now, okay?
Okay.
You want me to approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, for heaven's sake. They take, like I said, they have more mosey in this court than courts in Alabama. Oh, she's dressed up like a raisin man, a California raisin. Dingus, there is nothing food-wise on this tape. Get, sir. Sir, it's a pop. No, come on.
Can I approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Stop, Dingus, for the love of Dingus. Say hi. He's like, I hate
Yeah,
you. I
so-
wanted to be on the desk.
Let's start with this letter, okay? This is a letter you wrote to Javier, right?
Yes.
And there's your name at the top left corner of the envelope, right?
Yes.
And Javier's
True.
name has 2 I's in it, right?
Right.
And there you can see the I just has a dot.
Hmm. One of them, yes.
It doesn't have one of those big circles, right?
Right.
And we know that this letter was written on April 12th, 2022, right?
Right.
Because you dated it, right? And this is another letter for your son, right, DeAndre?
Yes.
And
Okay, Miss Lawyer Lady, I generally don't like to help people that that annoy me, but you are definitely a spring blonde. You need to stay with pastels. That color just does not work. And you remind me of a California raisin, and I kind of want to hear quartet like California raisin songs now. Which this just sucks with my ADHD. So could you please wear a color that complements you and not those ridiculous clear glasses? So I won't be offended by your outfit, even if I'm offended by your voice.
we have another letter you mailed Javier, right? There's your name.
Yes.
And again, Javier's name has an I, right?
Right.
No
It's a
circles,
nice
right?
color, but it washes her out and
April
it brings
12th,
out the
right?
red tones in her face. And since I am a blonde and I can tell you that I love deep, rich colors, you need to change your hair color.
And you wrote
I
your friend
heard it through
Karina
the
Avila,
grapevine.
right?
Yes.
How
again,
much
that's your
longer
return
would
last
you
name.
be
Yes.
And
mine?
Karina's name
Honey,
also has
honey.
a couple I's, right?
Yes.
And the I, the dot for the I is a big circle, right?
Yes.
Just like those, right?
Yes.
And the date of that letter is May 29th, 2022.
Yes. Wait, can I see that? This letter?
Which one?
This one? Because none of those have, they're dotted, right?
Right, it's just
Okay.
this letter,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And you wrote this envelope, right?
Yes.
And as much as I'm dogging on the defense, they are right to bring this up. I just don't know that this would be considered expertology.
So I want to start by talking about your testimony yesterday about how the abuse got worse after October 3rd.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Dickerson's death. As you spoke about with the prosecution, you went into these specific events with Mr. Burrows during your proffer.
Right.
And with him, you described an incident that happened back in September with a car. Do you remember that?
Yes.
An incident where you were using a bathroom in a park in Evans,
Yes.
and you claimed that Stacy told you to hurry up,
Yeah.
and that Stacy drove your car onto the grass in the park,
Right.
and that you described it to Mr. Burrows that in the moment she's driven her car onto the grass, and she's yelling at you to hurry up, and you were, quote, just like thinking about your options, right?
Right.
And you described this pretty dramatic scene where it's an open field, no trees, right?
Right.
Oh,
And
fun.
you flung off your flip-flops, put your phone in your bra, and you just took off running, right?
Right.
And there's just houses all around, right?
Yes.
And you described this very dramatic scene of her essentially chasing you down in your car in the field, wide
Yes.
open field, right?
Yes.
And you described suddenly falling and thinking you were going to get run over.
Right.
And then you described to Mr. Burrows during your proffer that she's revving the engine and screaming at you to let people call the cops because it was all on you,
Right.
right? And then you described to Mr. Burrows getting hit by the car twice.
I've gotten hit twice by her, but this one incident was just the one time.
Okay. And you told Mr. Burrows specifically, quote, she bumps me with my car and I go flying
Yeah.
and I twist my ankle.
Yeah.
And then you dramatically describe her pinning you with your car against another car, right?
Against the fence.
You described to Mr. Burrows in your proffer, quote,
What in the Lifetime movie, something with Judith Light or Meredith Baxter Burney, am I listening to here? So, Hosanna, I don't know if this happened because personally, now, I don't like to get involved with other people's business, but if I saw a big angry woman in a car running after another woman or going after another woman and pinning her up against a fence, I'm not going to hobble my behind over there, but I will call 911 and say, hey, some of you police people, could you come over here and take care of this? It looks like this woman's getting murder-related, okay? So, unless the park was entirely empty, this sounds like something from a Lifetime movie. That being said, if you are in a relationship that is anything like this, you see red flags, please consider getting out. It's not going to be easy, but you can definitely do it.
she ends up cornering me with my car and another car that was parked right there.
I remember it was against the fence. There was a car parked right there, but when she cornered me, it was up against the fence.
Do you recall telling investigator or Detective Burrows back on June 8th, 2022, she ends up cornering me with my car and another car that was parked right there?
I believe it. I mean, if I said that, I did, but I remember being like up against the fence. There was a car right there, but
Right.
it was cornered.
And that brings me to my next part, which is you said you were describing trying to figure out how to jump over a fence or jump on a car.
Right.
So, ma'am, you're telling this jury that after October 3rd, it got worse than that?
Yeah. She's never physically pulled a knife out on me and threatened.
But you're saying she hit you with a car and you went flying.
Yeah.
And not one person called the police. None of these other houses that are around this park are like, oh my gosh, this car is driving, chasing this poor woman. They're going to kill her. No one called the police.
No.
And also, you told Mr. Burrows that you even described the headlights being on when this is happening.
Yes.
And yet,
Okay.
not a single police report was
Here
or
is a
call was
dramatic-
ever made.
No.
Per Baker.
And now there's this like, well, there's multiple.
I have done a crime scene analysis, and this is what it would look like. Now, obviously, she's driving a Kia Soul here, so not a Land Rover. But are you kidding? No one's going to see that and not call the cops. Oh no, she needs to go to Canton because she can definitely explain how cars work now. She's kind of an expertologist. I mean, it's like, Napoleon Dynamite. We're kind of serious. I'm kind of an expert. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Aren't Subarus fairly expensive? I've never had one. I do wear Birkenstocks now, so I don't know if I can get one legally since. But they do seem like nice cars. I'm not going to lie.
Multiple cars. I've been hit by a car multiple times, right? And again, not a single police report was ever made by anyone, right?
Holy crap. Theodore
And you
Edgecombe
testified
needs to talk to
yesterday
you.
that you told this jury, oh, my lawyers just set up the proffer. They didn't do anything else. They just facilitated it, right?
Right.
Your lawyer who's been sitting here all day and all yesterday and the day before when you're testifying has been actively helping the prosecution during this trial, right?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know that she went and talked to your sister who was sitting back there a couple days ago and was
How is this anything to do with this particular witness? If she has a beef with this particular witness's lawyer helping the prosecution, again, this is not. What does this have to do? If you are pissed off that the other lawyer is helping, then you need to get upset with them. Now, this is the same lawyer who got very upset and wanted to get the work product of her lawyer. So of Hosanna's, no, wrong hand. So Hosanna's lawyer was talking to her and kind of and her client, and the lawyer that is talking right now wanted to get her work product because she claimed that she was now a police officer because she was investigating this case. So this lawyer is pissed off at the other lawyer, so she's going to take it out on this one.
asking her questions about what my investigator asked her to give a note to the prosecution like this.
Objection, may we approach?
Sure.
Oh, God. See, so they have been doing this. These two lawyers are like this, like, I'm not touching you. They're like siblings in the backseat of a car. Like, she's breathing too loud. I'm not touching him. The judge is going to pull this trial over and make them both pick out their own hickory sticks at this point. I do have to wear Birkenstocks because of CRPS, and I will say, Now, I was Twitter pated beyond all belief. I had to call Mr. I honestly, and I am not joking, had to call Mr. Mo semi in tears because the Birkenstock people at Journeys wanted $100 for a pair of their flip flops or their Thor. Come on now. And I was having an existential crisis because the most I have ever spent for a pair of flip flops are Crocs. And I love Crocs, but I cannot wear them as much anymore. So Mr. Mo had to talk me down and, say it is okay to spend $100 on on Birkenstocks. So I will say they're very, very comfortable, but it about killed my soul to spend more than $100 on a pair of damn sandals. Just about killed me. And I am not lying. Now, what this has to do with the trial, I'm not quite sure, so let's get back to it. But we will be on sidebar as they continue to moan and whine. Okay, but if you go to NE or NW, the locals there will assume you play for your own team. Hey, as long as I'm the hot one in the lesbian relationship, I'm good. I mean, if you just assume I'm the hot one, I'm fine with it. Now, if I'm the butch one, that's when I would have an issue. That being said, I am willing to consider it for Cyndi Lauper. But I do believe she is married, so us both being married and her not
So now we're
knowing
talking
me.
about you, thank you, Judge, being hit by 3 different cars.
2 cars.
2 now.
Yes, I never said 3.
Okay. So let's go through that a little bit, okay? When you described to Mr. Burrows is an incident with a car where Stacy hit you with her car in April around your birthday,
Right.
right? And you specifically told Mr. Burrows during the proffer,
I do
that
like
is,
flannel.
on my birthday, that's when she hit me with a car, period. Not actually hit me, period. She didn't run me over, period.
Right.
So that's one incident, right? Where you
Yes.
originally tell Mr. Burrows during this proffer that she hit you with her car, but then you kind of come back on it and it just left. So that's one incident, right?
Right.
Then you described the incident in September in the field that I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
And then there's what has been, or actually, let me ask you this. You've mentioned a couple of times you tell information to your lawyers and they go investigate it, right?
Right.
And so then there's this like third incident with a Nissan Altima that your legal team provided the prosecution, right?
Objection again, same question.
Give me just a,
I'm trying to clarify how many times we're talking about it.
if you're clarifying.
No,
the
you're not.
number,
You're
we'll
bitching
allow
about
the
her
question,
lawyer
so please
helping.
proceed.
Thank you. You can answer that.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Sure. Then there's this like third time involving a Nissan Altima that your legal team sent the prosecution
Right.
about. So 3 different car incidents that you've been hit by.
Was
I
it a
wasn't hit by
semi-automatic
that car.
Nissan Altima?
We were driving and we were arguing and she pulled the steering wheel. It was my sister's car and I put a dent in it. But I clarified that with my lawyers to make sure, because I was only hit by the car twice. 2 different cars, not my sister's car.
Okay. So
Oh,
the abuse got
Smarmy
worse
got
from that
told.
point is what you're saying, right?
Right.
And I kind of want to take a moment and kind of do a timeline. I want to start with, you told investigator Burrows that, and again in your proffer, that the abuse started really, at one point you said March, and then it turned to beginning of April, right?
Right.
And then we have this car incident that happens in April. And then you actually told investigator Burrows at one point that the abuse got, again, this is during your proffer interview, that the abuse got worse over the summer as well. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now, you have been shown prosecution's exhibit 212. Those are the 5 notes, right?
Yes.
But you wrote more notes than that, right?
Yes.
Including
Ooh,
a
more
diary
notes.
note on June 26, 2021 that says, quote,
The lesbian diaries. The dump truck diaries. I feel like we're listening to dump truck cab confessions, like not taxi cab confessions that were fun and usually interesting, sometimes tragic, sometimes great. No, we're listening to Prison Confessions. Ooh, we're going to get more lesbian on lesbian writing. I like it. Oh, I wonder what gems we're going to get here.
Oh, I love Stacy. She's helped me through things no one ever could have! Exclamation point. She's seen me at my worst! Exclamation point. She saved me, and saved me as in capitalized letters. So many times.
Can we approach again?
Sure.
Okay, this, you know what? If she gets objected to a bunch, I was wondering why the hell this was going to take so
But
long.
you wrote on June
because it is
26, 2021, quote, she
redirect.
saved me, and saved me is capitalized so many times! Exclamation point, exclamation point. She was there when I felt alone! Exclamation point, exclamation point. Only her would stay up and actually listen and care! Exclamation point, exclamation point. She helped me through so much! Exclamation point. Right?
Right.
Then a second note. And this one is dated July 7th, 2021. Again, during the same summer that you told Investigator Burroughs during your proffer that the abuse again got worse, right?
Right.
And this note is interesting because, and I'll show you, because you had actually deleted this note at some point, right? Does that sound familiar? Or do you want me to read it first?
I don't. No, you can read it first.
Okay.
Oh,
The note has a
deleted
title actually,
reading.
and it's called Letter to Stacy, July 7th, 2021. And you wrote, quote, I realized you never put me first. I relied on you for a lot of things. In the beginning, you told me, quote, I will get 3 jobs to support you. And you never even paid a single thing. You bought groceries twice. You basically just watched me struggle with my mental health, my bills, my house being a mess. I was at my lowest these past 5 months, and you never once pushed me to do better. Never once motivated to do better. It was hard seeing you lay around and eat in bed, so it made me okay, or it made it okay for me to do it. I'm not blaming any of my shit on you because it's my fault I let it happen. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
That's a note that you deleted, right?
I don't remember deleting it, but
Okay. Would it refresh your memory to look at a Celebrate report that actually says in bright red letters under a category that says deleted? Yes.
yeah.
May I approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I mean, she says she doesn't remember. I'm sure the Cellbrite's not going to member for her.
You can see a column that says deleted. And when I go to the letter to Stacy dated July 7th, 2021, you can see in bright red letters it says yes, right?
Okay. Yes.
So here you are, again, telling Investigator Burroughs that the abuse is so bad during the summer.
JKD Buck, do not call her Hosanna, okay? I'm putting this out there. I do not want to get in vicarious trouble. Although if you do, you can totally blame me. Like just say it wasn't my fault. Mo is this terrible influence. Just don't get grounded too long from my channel, okay? But I will take full blame if you start singing, Hey, Zana, Hosanna, Hannah, Hannah, ho. I mean, it would make Jesus Christ Superstar really funny. Yeah, no, this lawyer is infuriating.
And you write out your complaints, right?
Yes.
And your complaints are that the audacity that she lied to you when she said she would work 3 jobs to support you.
Right. Right.
And the audacity that she had to only pay for groceries twice at the age of 19,
I'll allow the question.
right?
Right.
How dare she at 19 years old not pay for your things, right?
She was living with me. It should have been both of our responsibility at the time.
But this is what
agree.
you were mad at her about in July.
In that moment, yes.
And you're mad at her that how dare she lay around in bed and eat and make it okay for you to do it.
Right.
You're blaming her for your choices to sit in bed and eat and gain weight, presumably, right?
Right.
You're mad at her for the fact that your house is a mess.
Excuse me. As a genlennial, I would like to say that I stand on stolen land from people that I don't remember because it's been a long time since 4th grade in Indiana history. But is this lawyer using her thin privilege to shame and body shame 2 women of size? Because you know she is probably one of the ones that's like, we shouldn't shame for body size. And then she's over here like, so just because your girlfriend's fat and laying around and eating, you're blaming her for making you fat? It is a phenomenon. Look at Amberlynn Reed's partners. All of them chonk up, okay? That being said, Yeah, Stacy was not this pure, like, innocent Pollyanna who just got taken out of, like, the FDLS, like, compound and suddenly, was introduced to all this stuff. She was 19, she was going to bars, she was in a relationship with a 26-year-old, and she was 19. I am so tired of this extended kid-old period now. If 18 is old enough to go serve your country and die for it, then it's not like she was 19. Now, I get it. Emotionally, I get my daughter is 19 and I still think she's a kid. But the eyes of the law shouldn't be, well, she's 19. I mean, how dare it? She's not 19 months. She's 19. We used to, assume that 19-year-olds were adults.
Mess, right?
Right.
You're mad at her that she's just watching you struggle with your bills and not doing anything about it at 19 years old.
Yes.
You don't mention a single thing about abuse in any of these notes until October 3rd, right?
I don't know.
Do you want to look through your entire note report?
I believe you. I just was.
Can we go up to
talking in my
1.25
diary,
or 1.5,
I get that, but
please?
you also told Mr. Burrows during your
'Cause this
proffer. Again, we
woman
have
is
to
so
put it in the context of a
annoying.
proffer interview.
Right.
It got worse in the summertime,
It did.
and nothing in here indicates that. Instead, you were just
Okay.
deflecting your problems on this.
I can explain why fluffy on fluffy violence would get worse in the summer. Look, as a fluffy, I can tell you there is nothing worse than being fluffy and in the summer because you have to go outside. Your big old thighs just stick to any vinyl or pleather that goes there. I mean, you have to use extra deodorant. There are swimsuits. There are thin people in swimsuits. And there are still little Debbies in the store. So the cycle continues. The chafing, the sweating, the irritableness. And no one wants to cook. I mean, so I can understand why the fluffy on fluffy violence would, increase when the summer comes.
19-year-old kid,
No.
right?
No.
Then Mr. Perelia asked you quite a bit, or we saw the purported text message about Javi, or her waiting outside of Javi's house, right?
Right.
And you told this jury, and you're again leading everyone to believe that you believed Stacy was going to kill him, right?
Right.
That she's so crazed that you had the audacity to go to the father of your children's house that night that she's waiting outside, right?
No, that's not what that picture was about. I had left her house and she assumed that I was going straight to Javi's and I was on foot. So that's why she went over there and was saying, come out, and she thought it was there.
Again, but the point of Mr. Perelia asking you that, and your answer to this jury was to suggest, correct me if I'm wrong, that she was following you to Javi's, right?
No.
And we've also heard a lot of testimony about how she was really jealous about Javi. You testified to the jury that you were worried about Javi being killed, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Hosanna may be living up to her name, which I forgot to put a banner up. But she cheated with, she left Javi, went with Stacy, but she was also chatting to a guy on Facebook and alleged by Stacy hooked up with several women, or at least one really ugly woman in Stacy's opinion, in prison. So faithfulness might be a problem for Hosanna.
And that you experienced, actually, I think you actually testified that she couldn't get to you anymore through all these DV violent episodes, and now she's turning to Javi, right?
Right.
But ma'am, she knew the whole time that you were still being intimate with Javi,
I was still in love with him, yeah.
being intimate with him, right?
I was like 4 times throughout our relationship, yes.
Okay.
Oh, well. You drop off the kids, you do the little married handshake, and then you go back to your lesbian girlfriend. Make that math look, not even in Kohl's Cash quad pay world does that math. I don't know. I kind of want to see pictures now, to be honest. I am curious.
And at one point, she actually buys you condoms or give you a condom for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm showing Mr. Perelia what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit RR and SS.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. So your 19-year-old girlfriend is giving you gloves to go smexy time with your common law husband. Well, isn't that special? I mean, just saying for a friend.
RR and SS?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
May I pledge allegiance?
Yes, you may.
Ma'am, do you recognize what that is?
Yeah.
What are those?
Okay, okay.
It's a screenshot of Stacy's messages.
And you know that because you took that screenshot, right?
I see her name. Yes.
And you took them, right?
Yes.
And there are screenshots
I
that
do
clearly and
believe it was
accurately
her
depict,
first lesbian
the
relationship,
message
yes.
at that time between you and Miss Rodriguez, right?
Right.
This time I move to admit RR and SS and request to publish.
Any
Not the
objection to
keyboard.
RR and SS?
No.
All right, the court will admit into evidence RR and SS, and you may publish your discussion.
Thank you. Okay, so it should be right over your right shoulder if that's easier. And here you were asking her where she's drinking at, right?
Yes.
And she's like telling you, why are you so worried? You're with someone else, right?
Right.
And the other person was Hobby.
Right.
And she's telling you, be careful, buy condoms, right?
We have confirmed it was not the hard R. It was not the hard R, everyone. I do have to check with the Council of Epic Diversity to see if Stacy has a pass to say the rap word, even with an A, because I don't think she does, going by the handbook of crazy that I have. But we do have confirmation it was not the hard R. What in the hell is happening in this trial? Why are you so worried? You're with your rap word. They've blurred out her responses, laughing my A off. I want you to be careful. Two, U and B all being letters. And buy, condoms. Dear Jesus, what in the Jerry Springer? Y'all, she's going to bring final form Jesus on us.
Right?
Right.
And you say, ew, just seeing your snap, have fun. Right?
Right.
Because she was out doing her own thing, right?
Yeah, she was with her other girlfriend.
Right. And she told you, oh, I put one in your purse.
Yeah.
God bless
Meaning a condom.
America. Okay,
Yes,
no,
she knew you were
no,
gonna
we
go
have
eat.
to write out this polycule here because I am confused. Because apparently Stacy has a girlfriend. HS side chicken Javi Netflix guy. All right, so far this is the polycule we have. We have Hosanna has Stacy, but she also has the Netflix guy that she was texting and Javi. And then Stacy also has a girlfriend. If this is lesbian true love, I don't know that I like it. I don't think this is a good representation of this. She really is not being an ally and putting forward the best narrative. Giblets.
Be intimate with Hobby.
Yeah, I think she was just being dumb.
Okay. She knew you were being intimate with Hobby.
Yeah.
And your response was not, you're dumb. It was, thank you, love. We have some. Heart, heart.
Yeah.
Can you move to the next one, please? Down.
Why are we...
Can you, okay, it looks like we got that fixed.
And her response is, great, exclamation point, right?
Right.
And she's telling you here, don't be petty. We're just friends, meaning whoever she was out with.
Right.
Because you were jealous of who she was out with.
Right.
Even though you were off doing your own thing with Hobby and she's supporting it. Right?
It looks like she's supporting it, but I know how she was.
That's
and
not
just being. Right.
Can she get to answer the?
I was stopping talking.
Does she get to answer the question or not? That's
I
all I want to know.
think she answered. Ma'am, was your answer complete?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And just so we're clear, she's telling you, you made your choice earlier. Don't give me shit. Right?
Right.
There's nothing in here that's her being mad at you going to hook up with Hobby. And she put a condom in your purse, ma'am.
Right.
Thank you.
So how does that like goodbye go? Like, I love you, sweetie. I hope you get banged hard. Go at it. Really thrust. Or be a pillow princess. I don't know. But have fun. Here is a condom. Like, Like, do you hug when you leave? Like, please take a shower and, clean yourself. Like, ooh.
So,
No, those are pictures.
as we've heard, there's been a lot of discussion about all of these domestic violence incidents, and I kind of want to start in reverse order. And so start in October and work our way back to earlier time periods for the relationship, okay? Just to orient you.
I've got
So
stuff in
in
here.
again, what I'm going to be going over with you just to clarify for the jury and you are all the incidents that you disclosed to Mr. Burrows during your proffer. Okay. In October, you told Mr. Burrows, the end of October, there was an incident where
Okay, y'all. So we are engaging a tangent because listen, y'all, I have a theory about buying condoms, and none of them are really supportive of men. Because here's what you have options for if you're going in as a woman. Magnum, and then if it doesn't work, like he isn't a Magnum, then what are you going to do? Like, sorry, I thought you looked hung. I mean, I guess that could be a compliment. Like, hey, you looked like you were packing. It just wasn't reality. Or ribbed for her pleasure, which I always assumed means, I think you're going to be really bad at this, so I hope that, at least I get something out of this. And then, extended pleasure, so it kind of numbs him, and I'm like, well, I mean, are you assuming he's bad at it from the beginning? And then what if it just lasts forever, and then you're like, oh my God, I have laundry to do. And then there was, glow in the dark. And I kind of contend, and I am of the philosophy that if you need lighting, you're not good at this game, and I don't know that I can trust you. Now, that being said, I have had fun, just being in the aisle having all these thoughts. But really, I think most condoms are passive aggressive. Because, there are too many options. I don't even want to think about something like that. And then I get to thinking about all the different options and I end up giggling to myself in the condom aisle, which has gotten me looks. But then I just think, thank God we're both spayed and neutered and I don't have to buy any of these. Very funny, Zach. I like it.
where, as we've seen and heard, you say that she poured water on your face and punched you and took a knife to your throat, right?
Right.
You told Mr. Burrows specifically that the timing of that incident happened a week before your dad's birthday, right?
Right.
Your dad's birthday is when?
October 25th.
25th.
Birthday.
Right. And again, she's punching you, she had weight on you, she's cutting cuts all over your body, right?
Right.
But yet 2 days before then, just 2 days, October 23rd, you two get actually pulled over by the Greeley Police Department,
Right.
right, during a traffic stop.
Yes.
There's officers on scene, right?
Right.
And they don't say, oh my gosh, ma'am, you have injuries all over you.
It was 2 days before the incident, right?
So you told Investigator Burrows this incident happened a week before your dad's birthday on October 25th.
Right.
October 23rd is not a week before the 25th. You would agree with me.
Yeah.
So police are seeing you, right?
Right.
Trained police officers who know the signs and symptoms of domestic violence, who aren't just, correct?
Right.
Who aren't just going to be like, ma'am, you have all these injuries.
I think Gabby Petito would kind of negate this entire narrative of, the cop seeing someone in distress and getting into it. Domestic violence, any sort of call between any sort of people, is one of the most dangerous calls that a police officer can go on. And if the injuries weren't visible, but then again, it's Hosanna. Why am I believing this chick? Never mind.
You're fine.
No. I never said she punched me, but she did put the knife up to my neck and I did have scars on my body.
But you did. You told Investigator Burrows in your proffer that she was punching you during this incident. Right?
Right.
You also described drinking during this incident, that you were both drinking during this incident, right?
Right.
And then you talked to him about an incident in September, the car in the park incident, right?
Yeah.
You told him then you were both drinking, right?
Yeah.
Of course, then you backtracked and said that you weren't drinking, she was drinking
The night of when she hit me with her car.
in Evans Park,
Yeah.
September.
I wasn't drinking that much. I was drinking, but I wasn't that intoxicated that night.
Right, because you first told Investigator Burrows we were drinking, and then it changed to, well, I really wasn't, right?
Right.
And then in August, there was another
Sure,
incident that you described to Mr. Burrows about how you got a black eye,
Right.
right? And ma'am, you take a lot of selfies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you took a selfie on August 17th, 2021, right?
Right.
And that selfie, it's not like with the Facebook messages, it's a screenshot. Like we actually know when you took that, right? Because of the metadata. Did you recognize the selfie that you took in August?
My mother-in-law made me a condom plant for my wedding shower. I didn't know if she's hinting that she did or didn't want grandchildren because the flowers were the condoms and they had a hole in them. This is how she asks questions on cross. She kind of also does it on direct. Or she hasn't gotten a direct. So we haven't, this is the state's case in chief. So I'm sure that when Stacy does her direct, we'll see how she does on a direct. But this has kind of been her just general fashion of asking questions. And it does feel a lot like testifying. And I put her to 1.5. I'm like, come on, how much longer does this last? With this, oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, it looks like they're sending the jury out. Oh, we come back to the, all right, good. I'm like, how much longer will this woman be torturing us?
Of 2021.
Yeah.
Showing the prosecution TT1 and TT2.
TT1 and 2?
Yes, sir. Thank you. May I approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Did you
And
at
then
least
TT2,
put
which is
shoe
on the
polish
underneath,
on like
it's just the
Sarah
metadata.
Boone?
Can you take a look at the date on that, please?
Yes.
And the metadata for that is all the same, right?
Yes.
Meaning the created, the modified, and I forgot the third option, but they're all saying August 17th, 2021, right?
Right.
And that's a fair and accurate depiction of the selfie that you took on that day, right?
Right.
Request to admit and publish, please. TT1 and 2.
Any objection to those exhibits? No. All right, the court will accept into evidence TT1 and 2, and you may publish at your discretion.
Ooh, selfie time. Selfie stalking. Stop licking your lips. Damn. Look, I know I shouldn't have a bugbear about that, but you know, like when you get that little dribble of sweat right exactly in the middle of your spine and it gives you the full body willies? Like every time she licks her lips like that, it gives me the absolute willies. Just, ugh.
And while that's getting set up, ma'am, the August incident
Thank
we're
you.
about
I
to,
need
or that we're
someone
talking
here
about where you
to
said
put
you
my
got a black
grammar
eye,
in place.
again, you told investigator Burroughs, quote, I really don't remember. I was drunk.
Right.
I mean, fair point. I can't remember stuff when I'm drunk.
Can you zoom in a little bit, please? So this is TT, right? This is a
Basak.
selfie that you took in August,
Right.
right? And I fully recognize that you didn't tell when, Mr. Burroughs, when in August, right?
Right.
But this is the middle of August, right? We don't see any black eye, right?
In this picture,
There's no black eye.
I mean, I see my eye pretty swollen.
You see your eyes swollen?
Yeah.
Okay.
And usually black eyes don't form until there's like the end of it. I don't know if you've ever had a black eye, but that's
Actually, funny, I
what
have one right now.
really can't see them.
Yeah. And you took this selfie, right?
No.
You never took a better picture than this of the black eye in August?
I don't remember if I actually took a actual picture.
Holy
I know I
focus,
have like videos and stuff that I
geniuses.
took with my black eye.
Okay. That wasn't anything you gave to your attorney to give to the prosecution to give to us, right?
We talked about it because there's the hospital things and you know what I mean, like the report. And I told him about the plan where I was going to tell my family
So
that I
I'm
got
gonna-
jumped.
Howdy, Tammy.
Right. I'm gonna get there, okay? My question was, you never took a better picture than this of your black eye in August, right?
No.
Take that down.
Sir.
So that's in August. And then there's also another
I am
sort of
sorry.
a distinct episode that happens at the Clarion.
Yes.
Remember that? That was at the beginning of your relationship.
Right.
Okay? And you described it to Mr. Burroughs as it was a night that you had gone out with Miss Rodriguez and you were mixing alcohol, right?
Right.
And there was actually, you were at the Clarion and Hobby came, right?
Right.
And police were called.
No thanks.
And police were talking to you and Javi, right?
Right.
And they were talking to you and you were showing them injuries of your mouth,
Thank
right?
you.
Right.
And you're telling the officers, Stacy did this to you, right?
No, I told him that I didn't remember what had happened, and she had told me that I had fell. I never said that she hit me or anything because I didn't remember.
But it certainly got alluded to that, right?
You got what?
It certainly alluded to that, right?
Yeah.
Between you and-
calls for speculation.
It doesn't.
The question.
Give me just a second here. I'll sustain the objection.
You're aware that officers, you observed them going and look for Miss Rodriguez, right?
I was sitting downstairs in the hotel, and I don't know if they went upstairs, but
He asked you a lot of questions about Stacy, right?
They asked me a lot of questions.
Yes. And you're like, I don't know what happened to me because you were so intoxicated, right?
Right.
And you're aware that the police were investigating Ms. Rodriguez for doing this to you.
Yeah, they were asking me what happened and stuff.
Right. And ultimately, you know that it never went anywhere, right?
Yeah.
It never went anywhere because the police actually pulled the video at the Clarion and saw that Ms. Rodriguez, you were heavily intoxicated and fell into a wall and hurt yourself.
I don't remember that in the police report or them telling me that.
Would it refresh your recollection to see that police report
Yeah.
by Officer Canton?
Oh, for God's sake. She doesn't remember because she was balls to the wall drunk.
Showing the prosecution for the record.
I'm sure looking at a piece of paper is going to refresh her memories. Also, I really want you to look at how Stacy sits. Now, it's not a big thing, but I observe a lot of people because I'm kind of an indoor cat people watcher. I like to look, I'm not good at peopling, but I like to watch them. But if you notice, Stacy has a way of taking up space, and I'm not trying to make a fat joke, but she is so incredibly comfortable and feels entitled to whatever space she wants to take up that you notice she kind of encroaches on the lawyer space. She's laid back. She is absolutely comfortable. She is not giving anything out of scared. This lean back shows a sort of comfort, a sort of almost, it is a very masculine sort of, I'm taking up space, I feel comfortable, and it does not put off vulnerable young woman vibes. She seems very cold, detached, and she smiles at a lot of inappropriate moments, but as a person who watches a lot of people, she gives me no vibes of being vulnerable. And this might be an act. I am sure that Stacy's life has been no bed of roses, but she has gone to a tough persona. Oh, let me pause this. Stacy Rodrigues ruined Hosanna. Stacy almost killed me too. She is fat. In no way it was self-defense. She sat on me, choking me until I took my last breath and passed out. Thank God for my neighbor. Well, I am very sorry that you had to go through that. And just to let you know, we are pretty irreverent here. We do dark humor and different things. So I would never want to offend anyone close to the case, but we are a bit irreverent here, just to let you know. And I am so sorry that this happened to you. And I hope that if there are any lingering sort of things, that you are getting the help and support that you need with those.
The answer to that before was that you didn't remember that in the police report, right?
Right.
So you have seen this police report before then, right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to write approach now?
Yes.
So I highlighted for you.
Now, I will say I have just looked forward just to see how Stacy was presented when she went on the stand. And they did have her hair down. And she was in that green polo that actually is a good color on her. She did look a lot softer. Again, I haven't played forward, but they did seem to be taking some sort of steps to make her look more vulnerable and more innocent, younger. Because Stacy, unfortunately, does not look like, I mean, this was several years ago when this crime happened, but she does not look young. She does not look vulnerable. So they did do as much as they could. Oh, maybe that's why I don't like her. No,
remember
it's
first now?
definitely the
Yes.
up talk.
So again, the video, it never went anywhere because the video depicted you being highly intoxicated and stumbling into the hotel and hitting a wall.
Right.
And actually Ms. Rodriguez supporting you as you're walking in.
Right.
And that was consistent with the unique shape of the injury to your lip.
Right.
Because you actually hit like a HVAC grate of some sorts, right?
Okay.
That sound right?
Right. In that police report, I never said that Stacy hit me or anything.
No, you didn't there, but you certainly told Mr. Burrows about it during your proffer on June 8th, right?
Yeah, that she was telling me that I had foul, and it was just always curious to me. I did not see that part.
But you told Mr. Burrows that, ma'am, in the context of telling him during this proffer interview about how horrible of a domestic violence abuser Ms. Rodriguez is, right?
Right.
And that wasn't true. That Clarion incident had nothing to do with Ms. Rodriguez. You were drunk again.
Right.
Because you had a serious drinking problem, right?
Right.
A really bad one where you were drinking every day
Right.
to drink the pain away, right?
Yes.
And you would agree with me, when you get drunk, you don't remember accurately what happens,
Sometimes, yeah.
right? As we've seen.
Right.
And every incident, almost every
Sarah Boone, this is how you respond when people ask if you have a drinking problem. If you are honest and want to try to atone for your drinking problem, yes, this is the defense lawyer. This is, so we've got direct cross, recross, and then this is the recross for the defense. And then this particular witness will be off. Oh my gosh, she should do the Theodore Edgecombe.
every single incident that you described to Mr. Burrows, you tell him I was drunk.
Right.
And the hospital incident
my
that you
gosh.
referenced earlier, you were drunk then too.
Yes.
And you go to the hospital and you have a black eye or a bloodshot eye, your eye was bleeding, right?
Right.
And you tell the hospital, I was jumped, right?
Right.
Again, this is the information you're passing along to Mr. Burrows, right?
Yes.
And yet police were never called again.
Right.
These mandated reporters at the hospital never like, oh my gosh, this girl just got jumped.
Right.
And then you described to Mr. Burrows in your prop.
Wait. I do have a question for any lawyers that are in the chat. Is a mandated reporter also required for DV? I mean, adult DV. I know they are for children, but I didn't know if the mandated reporter had had connotations for adults, or it covered adults, because that's something I've never quite understood. If a doctor sees clear signs why they can't say anything, I'm not quite sure. That being said, I mean, I don't think these people really hung out on this particular side of the law. So, you know.
Offer that you and Mr. Rodriguez were actually laughing about it while at the hospital.
Right.
And again, because you were drunk again.
Right.
Now, I will say that I think that this defense should end here. Again, they have given plenty to the jury that they need to decide about as far as, you know, whether they can trust Hosanna, you know, because of the motivation of maybe wanting to see her kids, also being in jail, also, you know, possibly getting a lighter sentence. And they have, you know, pointed out that she is not a reliable narrator. At this point, it just seems to be, it seems to be cumulative. We've learned all of her secrets, all of her, you know, indiscretions. We know that she had a drinking problem, that she suffered or struggled with ideation. I don't think they need to layer it on anymore, because I think if they continue to layer on, it's going to backfire and make Hosanna look more sympathetic than their defendant. So they need to be careful, in my opinion. Woohoo! I always take a deep breath when all the kids are in school. And then I look around my house and realize they've left me an entire 3 weeks worth of cleaning to do. And then I ignore that, pick up all the trash, sweep the floors, and then come up here and stream.
Mr. Perelia was talking about the notes, right? Just a moment ago.
Yes.
And he asked you some questions about the note about Stacy's car being hot, right?
Right.
And he asked you, he's like, are you a mastermind? I think that was his comment yesterday.
Right.
And you testified just a moment ago, or yesterday, excuse me, that I didn't write these notes because I knew an investigation was being started, right?
Right.
Even though earlier with me, you had told the jury something different, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember telling this jury earlier that you wrote these notes because you knew the case was going to be investigated.
No, I wrote the notes because I felt like she was going to kill me.
Okay. You, though, wrote the note on about the car being hot after October 3rd, right?
Right.
In that note, you were saying the car is hot because of the October 3rd incident.
No, we were in, it says the Tahoe, and October 3rd was in the Malibu. And she was telling me that her Tahoe was hot because of the gang that she was in. And now I feel like she's saying that so we wouldn't be driving around.
I mean, that's not what you said in this note.
It says the Tahoe.
So let me pull up that note for you, okay?
Okay.
You have key fob
No,
handy?
please don't. You're hurting my soul, ma'am. Welcome, Linda Lou.
May I read it?
Oh, absolutely. I'll ask you some questions. Do you have it in front of you, though?
Yes.
You wrote, Stacy's truck is hot. They're looking for it, and having my kids in it, putting them in danger. Being out in public is putting them in danger.
Yeah, it's the truck. It's the Tahoe. She said not the Malibu. Now, I understand, but at least in this particular case, it does make sense. It does make logical sense that Stacy might have told her that the car is hot. I don't believe Hosanna as much. I think there are some things that she's shading to make herself look less involved. That being said, that could be her brain's way of protecting herself. She might honestly know the truth, but not be able to accept it. And Old Line Red said mandated reporting does not work the same with adults. There's no mechanism to report adult to adult suspected abuse. Witnessed abuse is different because the police can act on that. Thank you. Does that change when they become seniors and they are considered more vulnerable? Is there like a silver mandated reporter? I don't know. I just feel like there should be. But then it would be the government and they would screw that up just like they do CPS.
I can't be home right now. And the sentence even before Stacy is, the Stacy truck is hot sentence is, quote, if you know I have to stay laying low because of what happened.
Right.
And when you're talking to Mr. Purley about it, you were saying that was the whole what happened, having to be low was because of the horrific death you just saw, right?
When I talked to him, he clarified Stacy's truck and that she said truck for her Tahoe.
Okay.
And she was telling me that
Welcome,
something happened in her truck and she was in this
Dion.
gang and we can't be riding around in it.
None of this you told Mr. Burrows, right? On October 8th, 2022.
I don't remember.
You didn't certainly bring this up when Mr. Purley was asking you questions a moment ago about this note, right?
He clarified if it was about the Malibu or she would call the Tahoe the truck.
But you didn't say, oh, Mr. Purley, that's actually nothing to do about this case.
No, I did not say that.
This is actually about this gang incident that I can't really give you any details about, but this is nothing. You didn't clarify that with him.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah.
You were just leading this jury to believe that this was
Thank you,
about Mr.
Sticky
Dickerson's death and it had
Widget.
nothing to do with it. So now we're
And for gifting 5 memberships, and those went to Eon Dobb, Kimberlia Ray, Maybe Not, Debbie Ritt, and HT. So congratulations. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have dark chocolate, sarcasm, and, well, dark humor. All we ask is that you keep mega amounts of patchouli oil and recorders at home. And let me write out those tickets while I get this back. And oh, and thank you, Tammy, for stopping by. I appreciate it so much.
what you're saying.
Let me
Well,
get
I'm
those
sorry to
written
lead you
out.
guys to thinking this was part of October 3rd.
Okay. Because if it was involving October 3rd, then this would be proof that when you wrote these notes, you knew that the police were looking into you guys.
Yeah, if it was about,
Yeah.
and if I was talking about the Malibu.
So of course it has to change now, right?
I'm just telling the truth, ma'am.
Yeah. Mr. Purley also asked you some questions about all these alleged acts of domestic violence between Ms. Rodriguez and yourself, because it shows the court read why you didn't call the police, right?
Right.
And you're leading the jury to believe that you were this domestic violence victim. You were afraid you were going to get killed. You were afraid that Javi was going to be killed, right?
Right.
But Mr. Burrows specifically asked you during your proffer on June 8th whether or not you and Ms. Rodriguez ever discussed or coming up with a story to tell, or whether or not anything doing about October 3rd was discussed between the two of you, right?
Right.
His exact words were,
Thank
quote,
you guys so much.
Did you guys ever talk about it? Did you guys ever talk about it? If you were contacted about, did she,
And
were you
into the swear
instructed?
jar.
Or did you guys come up with a story to tell? Or was that ever discussed or not? And your answer was, quote, not really. No, I never really asked her anything much about it.
Right.
You didn't tell Mr. Burrows in that moment to that question, you know what? She told me to keep my mouth shut or else she's going to kill me. Right?
Yeah, she never threatened to kill me, but yeah.
So Mr. Purley is bringing all these acts of domestic violence to show the reason why you were so afraid of not going to the police when you're sitting in the car outside of a alleged murder house with a serial killer. It's not true, right? Because she never once told you during October 3rd or any of the weeks after, according to what you said to Mr. Burrows, I will kill you if you say anything about what happened.
Yeah, she never said that, but she has threatened to kill my life before the murder happened. And so that's why I was scared because of what she's told me. But yes, she never said, I will kill you if you go to the...
Denise Sells says, as a retired paramedic, I've reported both DV and elder abuse. I've called social services for elder abuse and asked for a social work referral. I've always made sure both were aware the report is on file. And then I know Old Line Red said, that's a good question. I think it's certainly different in states certified facilities like assisted living and nursing care. Elder law is also very much evolving. Yes, I would imagine that elder law is going to be a big and expanding sort of sector of the legal world with the baby boomer generation moving into assisted living facilities. I do think that there is going to be a lot more legislation coming out and different laws. And unfortunately, people that need lawyers for some of these facilities. So I could see that being a major sector of growth. Not to be crass, but the baby boomer generation is getting older and they were the largest generation. So it does make sense. Now, if we could just get the elderly out of our government. You have done your time. You've not done well with it, but you've done something. So please leave and let Gen X and all of our angst and sarcasm start running the world. Thank you.
For the police.
And also about this concept of calling the police. You are certainly not someone who is afraid to call the police, right?
Right.
You testified earlier at the very beginning about not going to the police and the jail because with the notes, right?
Right.
And violating the keep step and all these threatening notes that we are hearing about, right?
Right.
Threatening your family because you don't trust the police, right?
Right.
Ma'am, you called the police on Javi for a domestic violence incident.
I did.
You were not afraid to be like, hey, police officer, I'm a victim of domestic violence by that guy right there.
Right.
Okay, hey, lawyer, defense lawyer. She also didn't see Javi unalive and breadbrum someone. So there would be a different level of fear, I think, between your high school sweetheart, who is allegedly, laid hands on you, and a person that has unalived and has told you that she's unalived before. There's a difference in situationality there. I think that's a word. Futuristically, I will look that up.
Father of your children, the sweetheart, high school sweetheart. You called the police.
I did. That was the first time I was ever in a situation like that. And now that I think back, so since I've been in jail, like, why didn't I call the police? And I felt like I ruined Javi's life because it was nothing compared to what I went through with Stacy. And
Certainly, ma'am, you would agree with me that would.
finished?
That wasn't responsive to the question, I'm sorry, Ms. Devereaux, you can go ahead and continue.
Thank you. But you would agree with me. I hear what you're saying, that you didn't want to ruin Javi's life or Stacy's life is probably where you're going with this, right?
no, I didn't. I
Calling
felt like I
police.
ruined Javi's life by calling police. I had a lot of guilt, and so I just dealt with it with Stacy.
Ma'am, you would agree, though. You're certainly ruining your children's life by letting them be at risk.
You absolute bitch. Look, I don't agree with what Hosanna did. I don't think she made very many right choices in this. But it is a different level of cunt to bring a person's children into things. And I get it. I get where they're going with this. But again, this is another attack. This is an attack straight to the soul of Hosanna. And if you don't think that some people in the jury are really not impressed with this lawyer going after her kids and using her kids like this, the defense is running the very serious possibility that the jury will feel more sympathy towards Hosanna with the way they are questioning her and bringing her kids into this. Because, again, some things should be sacred. Some things we shouldn't bring the children in. We can bring the part about her being a mom and being in prison and that kind of thing, but we never have to bring the kids in. And they have consistently showed the kids' photos and the kids' videos and basically made this woman cry on stand. Again, Hosanna did something very wrong and needs to, atone for it. But there are certain things that now, again, had Hosanna come in as a complete a-hole, then I could see it. But this is gross, in my opinion, and I don't like the defense is going there, especially when the defense is going for the kind of Stacy's allowed to be scared and Stacy's allowed to react. But if she mentions anything, there's just a double standard here that I don't think they realize that they're putting up there, and it doesn't look good. It does not look good in my opinion.
of being hurt by the serial killer who has gang ties, right?
I'll allow the question.
Right?
Right.
And you didn't tell a single police officer.
I didn't.
One more thing, Dan.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Sonia, can you?
No, one more things. No more things.
And I'm sorry, juror number.
No things for you.
Can you just? Can the parties question?
Oh, stop licking. For the love of God, someone give her some chapstick. Ew, what are you doing? God,
Okay.
why?
All right. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I know we've been away for quite a while. We'll go ahead and take a break at this time. Give me just a second.
And once again, thank you to Justice is a Process. We are using their stream. They edited out all the breaks, so please go over and give them a sub. And, they have done an
I
awesome
want to
job
remind you
in
that
kind of
until the trial is
boosting the
completed,
volume.
you must not discuss this case with anyone, either in person, using the internet, or by any other means. This includes members of your family, people involved in the trial, other jurors, or anyone else. If someone approaches you and tries to discuss the trial with you, or if you see or hear anything about it, even accidentally, please let me know about it immediately. You must not conduct any research, undertaking investigation, or otherwise obtain information about the case from an outside source. You must not read or listen to any news reports or internet information or other electronic sources about the trial. If there has been or is any news coverage of this case, you must completely disregard it. Your verdict must be based solely on the evidence presented in the courtroom and the law as I instruct you. And finally, it is especially important that you do not form or express any opinion on the case until your deliberations at the end of trial. With that, we'll be in recess for 15 minutes. If you can return at 11:20, and please rise for the jury as they leave.
And the all black does nothing to soften her. It's not a good look. The monochromaticness is too reminiscent of
Thank you.
a
Please be
prison
seated.
uniform.
And court will be in recess until 11:20. And Jenny,
we
you
are
all set up?
back.
Okay. All right, we are back on the record in 21 CR 2296, People of the State of Colorado versus Stacy Rodrigues. The parties are present
Yeah,
as
that
previously
wasn't a good
captioned, and
look.
we are outside of the presence of the jury. Is there anything that we need to address before we bring the jury back in and resume from the state?
No, we were just discussing the schedule.
Okay. All right. And do you need a moment to finish your discussion before I bring them?
So we
Okay.
can proceed. I don't want to keep the jury waiting.
And from the defense, is there anything that we need to address, or do you need a moment to finish up that conversation? Sure, that's fine.
I love this judge.
Does anyone want to share the quarter time?
Not right now, the jury had it.
Okay. All right. We'll keep it a secret then. Can you bring them in, please? Thank you.
Please rise for the.
Oh, stop playing with your. Ugh. Why?
Ms. Varela, I'll remind you, you are still under oath, and Ms. Devereaux, you can continue.
Thank you. Ma'am, I just have one final question to clarify. Mr. Perelia asked you a question yesterday about the incident with Mr. Vigil, okay? And he asked you if you knew who threw the first punch, right?
Right.
And he showed you, initially you couldn't remember, and so he showed you what appeared to be like a Word document with some notes and timestamps, right?
Right.
And that's when he came back and said, who threw the first punch, and you said Stacy.
Right.
I just want to clarify, what you told or Detective Burrows on June 8th was that, quote, I think Stacy threw the first punch, right?
Right.
And then you went on to talk to Mr. Burrows back in your proffer, and he was like, did you see anything else transpire with the fight? It sounds like maybe you were in the car at some point, so you didn't see anything, right?
Right.
And you responded, quote, that fight was confusing. It was just like a whole, I don't really remember too much in the fight.
Right.
Because again, you were drinking that night, right?
Yes.
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Varela,
Well,
you
that
may
was a
leave the
slam
witness stand.
dunk.
Please, you can transport her downstairs. They call their next round a new day. I'll swear you in again. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you. Go ahead and have a seat. Mr. McCormick, go ahead and begin. Oh, yes. Can you, Mr. McCormick, just collect those and give those to Jenny, please?
So I believe we're coming back to the
Oh, Ms.
lead
Deborah, do you still have the
investigator.
permission, please?
Right here.
Okay.
For you.
And then
Let's go to Jerry.
so generally when we get back to the lead investigator at the end of, is usually close to the end of the state's case in chief. Now this particular lead investigator, lead detective, has since moved on to a different, I think, job. So he will be he will be talking about things, but he has retired from this particular police station. I was going to say congregation, but I knew that was wrong.
All right, are you seated and comfortable?
Yeah,
All
sure.
right, so Detective Burrows, I have a couple of housekeeping matters before we begin.
Housekeeping.
I'm going to hand you,
Y'all, why did the scene from Tommy Boy pop into my head? Housekeeping. Daggone Kathy Michelle, dang it. Yeah, YouTube has been kind of in and out here lately. I know that other content creators would appreciate it, and so would I. But be sure that you are still subscribed to all your favorite content creators. If you haven't seen something pop up in a while, make sure you're still subbed, because YouTube likes to think that you don't like people and will unsub you for just reasons. Housekeeping.
you recall that through the course of the trial, People's Exhibit Number 4 was entered into evidence,
It was, yes.
and that was the ring video from 2405 15th Avenue Court.
Yes.
And were clips made of that particular video?
They came originally in clips from the Ring video.
Has that subsequently been placed on the DVD?
Yes.
And you've had a chance to review it?
Yes.
Your initials and date appear on it?
Yeah.
Are they accurate?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd move into evidence People's 4A through D.
And this is everything that's contained on previously admitted for.
Correct.
All right. And any objection from the defense?
No, thank you.
All right. I will admit 4A through 4D into the record, and you may publish where appropriate.
All right. So Detective Burrows, kind of picking up, you had an occasion to continue to investigate this case after October 3rd of 2021.
Yes.
All right. And you had indicated, too, that you had received the victim's phone location information.
Correct.
And you had an opportunity to corroborate that phone location with your video evidence, right?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's 221, 222, 224.
Okay, what in the world in the polka dots is going on here? I can understand a polka dotted shirt and then a solid tie, or a polka dotted tie with a solid shirt. But his wife is sleeping on her game. Or maybe I shouldn't assume he has a wife. Because I would have said no to the double polka dots. No. Never go full polka dot.
Can you briefly describe what those are?
Yeah, 221 is when Christopher's phone initially left the house at about 11:56 p.m. on October 2nd. 222 is when he, I believe he parks just north of 477 Distilling. That's his phone location, I should say. And then 224
Yeah.
is when Christopher's phone shows up at Cubetta's in the downtown area. And then 225 is when Christopher's phone goes to Roasties.
So here's what I'm trying to figure out. Does he have a bald spot so he grows it long on one side? Or was just the severe side part just his jam and he is never going to give it up? Never going to give you up. Never going to make you cry.
Do those
Or he was
appear
trying to
be,
give himself
accurate
finger
depictions
waves
of
like
that
the
location
30s.
information?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd move into evidence People's 221,
Any objection to 221?
No.
222,
And Ms. Devereaux, is there any objection either? Are you doing all four at this time, Mr. McCormick?
Yes, sir.
Any objection to any of those exhibits?
No.
All right. I will admit 221, 222, 224, 225 into the record, and you may publish where appropriate.
All right, thank you. So in regards to your continued investigation in this case, I want to turn your attention to October 16th, 2021. You recall you had indicated that there were ALPR trailers in the particular area. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now, during the or post this fire investigation, were those trailers or was a trailer moved?
Yeah, we after the incident on October 3rd, the homicide and the arson, we moved the mobile license plate trailer. It's mobile to approximately the 1700 block of 25th Street. So it would be west of Christopher's location or the residence.
And was there any particular reason why it was moved a little closer to the victim's residence?
In hopes that maybe the suspects would return to the scene.
All right. And were you or was somebody reviewing that information on a regular basis?
I was, yes.
Okay. And on October 16, 2021, did you notice the Chevy Malibu that you testified to previously?
Yes, I did.
And do you remember what direction it was traveling?
So it was traveling east on 25th Street and approximately the 1700 block. At that point, I believed it was potentially heading towards Christopher's residence or in the general area.
So based upon that particular information, did you go back to the area of the 2400 block 15 Court Avenue?
Yes, we did.
And what was the purpose of going back there?
We were looking for video surveillance from that morning to see if the Malibu actually did indeed go back to the house.
All right. And were you able to determine if it had?
Yes, I was.
All right. If we could have published, please, 133.
All right, go ahead.
So to be clear, can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, let me get the. So unfortunately, on this day, normally there's a map here, but for whatever reason, our GPS went down. But typically that's where it would display. But I know that we put it in the 1700 block of 25th Street. So this is the license plate of the
Y'all,
Malibu. I know that to be Miguel
we're
Rodriguez's
pausing
Malibu,
this.
Stacy's brother.
But this particular detective this is his spirit animal. I mean, Ben Affleck smoking. This man gives me such Ben Affleck smoking, like done with the entire freaking world and in full fuck deficit. Like this detective is giving me such Ben Affleck smoking vibes with the man boobs. Like I'm just tired and I'm tired of this. I don't know why that popped into my head. Again, you guys benefit greatly from me having squirrel brain, and I get to bring you these thoughts.
Then there's a date of 10/16/2021. And then right here is the time at 7:46 a.m. And then there's a picture of the Malibu. So I was able to also look at the picture of the vehicle and confirm that it was also that silver Malibu too.
And I'm sorry, I might have missed. What time did the Malibu, or is there approximate time that it went through that?
Yeah, 7:46:21 a.m.
All right. Now you had that information. Did you go back to those some of the neighbors to see if there was any type of video surveillance available?
Yes, we obtained video.
And do you remember obtaining video from 2406 15th Avenue Court?
Yes.
And if we could publish 3G right now, please.
All right, go ahead.
And this is Christopher's residence at the top of the screen. This is and you'll see the Malibu entering the frame right here. And then it ends up doing kind of a long circle or U-turn and pulls briefly in front of Christopher's residence. Again, the same characteristics of that Malibu. And then it's out of frame and goes back to 25th Street.
Okay. Were you from that video able to take still shots?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what is Marcus Peoples 138 and 141. Ask you to take a look at those for a moment, please. You recognize those photographs?
I do.
Are those photographs or still shots, if you will, from that video we just observed?
They are, yes.
Do they appear to be accurate in their depiction?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, we'd move into evidence Peoples 138 and 141.
Any objection to those exhibits?
No, thank you.
All right, the court will admit into evidence states 138 and 141.
Well,
and you
Gregory,
may publish your
you know,
registration.
by not dating, you're also
Now,
closing
with
yourself
that
off to the Stacys of the world.
ALPR
So it might
reader,
be
You've
self-defense.
obviously watched a lot of video, is that fair?
Yes.
You've observed this ALPR reader,
Yes.
the vehicles that were captured off of it,
Yes.
the individuals that were driving it,
If you can make it out in the picture, yes.
okay? Were you, or did you do some type of comparison with some of the photos, the still shots you took from that?
Yes.
So if we could, please, I want to compare 134.
Okay, yes, we have, okay, I have identified the problem. So this, I believe, is some scalp. I love that I'm John Madden. Or is it John Madden? Or is it Rick Madden? Look, I don't play video games, but I do believe we are seeing some scapular, surface. So now it's in a weird spot. So maybe that's a glare, but I do believe I'm seeing some scalp. So there you go. Me either. I am married, so I don't have to date. I got married in self-defense, and I love Mr. Mo, and I don't have to
All
drive or
right,
take
so
out the trash.
I have before you previously admitted people's 134 and 136. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
So on the left, I think that's 134. I can't see because of the glare. That's the zoomed in photo of the actual picture taken by the ALPR system. So it actually captures the entire vehicle. And as I was looking at it, I could see that there was a driver in the front driver's seat. And I can see an emblem, kind of a white circular emblem. I can see the part of the face, and then it looks like there's a kind of a bright earring in the right ear. This picture on the right, we actually got this from Isaiah V. Hill or Kayleen V. Hill. And this is from October 16, 2021 at 12:55 a.m. So this picture was taken on the same day, but
Wait.
prior to.
Is that person bald, or do they have like just a fringe of blue? Okay, all right. But great job, Stacy, wearing the same very graphic and very identifiable shirt. Just number one on the crimeology.
This photo captured on the ALPR. When I compared the shirt that Stacy was wearing, I noticed the characteristics are the same between the white emblem that's circular, and then I just looked at the overall shape, and I was pretty confident that that was Stacy that was driving the Malibu on October 16th when she returned back to the house.
All right. And based upon that information, were you able to take a closer in or a more zoomed in screenshot of the
Good
defendant?
morning,
Yes.
Aya. It's not as flattering as in that particular picture. Maybe it looks really good in
do.
other
A fair and
areas.
accurate depiction of the zoomed in portion of the defendant's chin?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I move into evidence people's 137.
Any objection to one?
Now, if the prosecutor wanted to be petty, is that a zoomed up area of her chins? Because I would do that, which is why I am not a lawyer. And thank you so much. I decided that we needed a bit of a fun dress. I just realized I've got a lot of altering. So here's the deal. I need a guardian ad sizem. I don't know if any of you have ever lost weight or gained weight or lost weight. I don't know what size I am. So I keep picking out sizes that I used to be, which is, it's good, but my brain isn't, it's like if you dye your hair a funny color and you look at yourself and you're like, who are you? So I need a guardian ad sizem. Ooh, thank you, Denise Sells. I did. So if you happen to find the need to get men's shoes, DTCPRS, go down 2 size. Okay. I didn't. So I have found that the hardest part for me is finding things to wear in the winter. But I found these socks for chonkular people. Look, for the fluffy among us. But they're very, very loose. So I either wear those or leg warmers because I can't tolerate pants. And I have to, keep my legs warm. So I do use... no, I don't. I actually have, like perfect feet for, they're kind of short and squat, so I can usually get away with wearing kids' shoes if they're a large enough size. So I do. And I've actually been able to tolerate, so I wish they would come out with better colors and better things for those of us who need more adaptable shoes. But I will give a shout out to Skechers hands-free shoes. I have a hard time lifting my leg to tie my shoes, so I've kind of given those up. But the hands-free shoes, and I'm just able to put them on, is really nice. So I wish they had better colors. I wish they weren't $80 a pop, but they are actually comfortable in a way. I mean, my leg doesn't tolerate anything, but it's comfortable and I can deal with it. And then I have shoes that I can walk in and I don't have to worry. Look, y'all, I am not gonna lie. It has taken me almost 3 years to be 73% okay with CRPS and what my life is with it. And for a long time, I was really embarrassed that I would have to get Mr. Mo to help me tie my shoes. And then I realized, you know, it just is what it is. Let's find some fun shoes that we can put on. Let's go look and see what color Birkenstocks, are there. But I will tell you that I had really human struggles with all the things that I had to give up. So as much as I'm fun and happy on the internet, I never want you guys to think that I've always been good with this, because I haven't. I really, really haven't. It's only in this last year that I've really started looking at, not what I'm losing, but what I can adapt to work in my life now. And it's a process. So don't ever use me as like, Mo is got it all together. Why am I sucking out loud at life? Because I am a hot mess express most of the time on camera and off. So that all being said, be kind to yourself. It takes a long time to get comfortable with, all the dreams and all the things that have to change. When you have like a chronic illness or something, you lose your job. There's so many things that people are dealing with. So just be kind to each other.
37?
No, thank you.
All right. The court will admit into evidence 137. You may publish at your discretion.
All right, so
They really did focus on her chin. Jesus, help me.
all right, so we're looking here at previously entered evidence numbers 135 and 137. And what are we looking at here?
These are just on the left. That is a zoomed in shot of the actual picture taken by the ALPR system. And then on the right, this is a zoomed in shot of the picture that Isaiah Beagle provided on the early morning hours of October 16th. And again, it's just noting how similar that pattern is on the front of the shirt. That's that white
I can't
circular.
snort laugh.
And
Don't
then
make
also
me
just
snort
the facial
laugh.
characteristics that I observed between the both, leading me to believe it was Stacy Rodrigues.
We are looking at the chinular region of Stacy Rodrigues. The chins. I just imagine like the entire CSI, department, like, oh, we've got a lead. And then they're like, in biggin, definitely the same chin. I see two. Okay, but we've got to do, I just imagine like the Ultron, like Megamind thing, just doing the fingerprint thing to her chin region. We have her chin print, Your Honor. Did this judge wake up this morning and think, why in the hell am I doing this? He's like, I thought I was going to get an O.J. Simpson case, but now we are doing Zapruder film-like analysis of her chin.
Who was driving the vehicle.
And lastly on this, I'd like to compare 135 to 195, please.
Oh, Lord. Stacy, sweetheart, and this is serious and for real. Look, I have struggled with my weight for forever. Stacy, you are going to be in a controlled environment where they encourage you to work out. Now, that might be a male prison sort of thing, but you could get a six-pack. Charlie Hotel India November, we have a chin. You suck my battleship. Giblets. Dear Lord, please don't take pictures of my chin when you're getting my license plate. Also, a reason I couldn't be a lawyer because I would be like,
And what
oh,
are we looking at here?
Another thing I noted was you can see right here, it looks like an earring or something bright from the right ear. And then I noticed in this other known photograph that there's a similar type looking earring. And I thought that was consistent with the known photograph of what Stacy Rodrigues
okay,
is wearing.
here's my other thing. Look, I am not trying to be a butt monkey, all right? Because I generally know that weight is a sensitive thing. This woman is not 250. Look, I understand, and we all understand the tacit lie that everyone tells when we go to the DMV. I mean, literally, look, it is a lie that both the government and I agree on, like my hair color. But that is not 250, okay? I was 250. I can tell you that that is not 250. I may not have a good gaydar, but I have a good fluffdar. That's a word. Stacy's got it going on. What the hell are those pants supposed to say? Anyways, I know she red rummed a guy, but this is kind of me. Like, why would you put a side picture up of this woman?
And then also comparing it to what was captured on ALPR. All these factors led me to believe that this was Stacy driving the Malibu on the morning of October 16th when we returned back to Christopher's house.
All right. Now, you had previously testified that after November 11th of 2021, you had requested search warrants
Yes,
for 2 motor vehicles, correct?
that's correct.
One was the Chevy Malibu,
Yes,
and one was the Tahoe.
yes,
And from the Tahoe, you had secured
Is
some
he
items
growing a mullet?
from that, right?
yes.
We got some party in the back going on.
I'm going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibit 173. Ask you to take a look at that. Do you recognize that photograph?
I do.
Is that a photograph of an item or shirt taken from the defendant's Tahoe?
Yes,
Does that photograph accurately depict what you observed when you conducted the search warrant?
yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move into evidence 173, please.
Any objection to 173?
No, thank you.
All right, I will admit into evidence states 173, and you may publish at your discretion.
All right, we publish 173. So what are we looking at here?
The picture just depicts the Echo shirt that I saw Stacy wearing on October 16th, and then we actually found that same Echo shirt in her vehicle when we did the search warrant. So it's just further corroboration that Stacy was the one driving the Malibu that morning.
Okay, and if we can have 141 published, please. Again, that's the Malibu, right?
Yes,
That was there on the morning of the 16th of October, 2021.
yes.
Can we compare 138 to 139?
Okay, Alice G, we just got done with Hosanna. The state did a redirect after the cross that kind of brought up a lot more of the alleged, and there was a corrective or a limiting instruction about this particular testimony that it was only supposed to be used in the context of giving Hosanna a reason that she wouldn't call the police. We got done with that. The defense really went hard after Hosanna, especially bringing up the her children a lot and her drinking problems. I don't think that was a good move. I think that that will definitely it makes Hosanna more it gives her more sympathy. It makes her look a little bit more sympathetic. And as a juror, I don't like the fact that, as a person, I don't like the fact that they brought her kids into it. And the defense has consistently brought in her kids. And I think the tone was just not good. I get what they were trying to do, but I think that you are honestly dancing on the line of giving Hosanna a lot of sympathy from the jury and, you know, making your client, who already looks aggressive, mean, and intimidating, you know, look like a bully. You look like you're acting as a bully to for your client, and it's not a good look, especially when you are going to then use self-defense and sort of really lean on into she was a woman and she was young. So I just think that it was an odd strategy. But we are back to the lead investigator, and I think this is probably going to be where, after this, the state will probably close. And then I do believe that let me make sure that, because usually the investigator is the last one, but it looks like we might have several more. So But generally, after the lead investigator gets done testifying, the state generally ends its case and then the defense goes on. So that is where we are. We also learned that Stacy might have allegedly had another girlfriend, according to Hosanna, and Hosanna was still sleeping with Javi, and Stacy was giving them condoms, as you do. So just learning all the things about this messy ass relationship.
That's the same motor vehicle?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Judge, if I can, just a minute, please.
Sure.
Did I provide the court with Exhibit 223 for review?
Yes, I have 223 here.
Okay.
Do you need it?
Oh,
Yes.
and sidetrack squirrel brain, but I will be on with Publicly Buzzed this Friday. On Feral Friday, we are going to be taking a trip back in time and watching 1995's Angus, the best movie ever, the bestest movie ever, my spirit animal movie. So Friday night, I will be chugging Monster Energy drinks, staying awake past my bedtime. Look, I have an elderly bedtime because I get up at 4 to start pulling news stories. I am much more a early morning person than a night person, but we will be watching that movie and having tons of fun. So please consider joining us there on Friday because it will be a blast and a half. Now, as you guys know, I am dealing with a family member who is not doing too great. So that would be the only reason I would cancel, and I would try to give you guys time because, well, you know, life.
So.
We had some more gems. We did. Because we learned that Hosanna had another
So I'm going to hand you what
person too.
Number 223, right? Do you, first off, let me ask you this. Do you recognize that?
I do, yes.
And through the course of your investigation, did you review voluminous videos?
Yes.
Did you review voluminous recordings?
Yes.
Did you review voluminous photographs?
Yes.
Would a timeline be something that would be consistent or convenient to be examined in court?
Yes.
Is the timeline that is prepared in People's 223 kind of a summary or chart, if you will, of all the videos, the writings, the phone records, tower location, video surveillance that you reviewed in this particular case?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, I'd move into evidence People's 223 under Colorado Rule of Evidence 1006.
All right. Thank you. Any objection?
Yes.
Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
Stacy was identified by her chins. And I nearly snort laughed. Because I am immature.
All right. Sorry.
It's okay.
So.
I believe this trial started at the start of last week. It is currently on verdict watch. We are on day 5, and I believe there are 9 days, but I think the day 9 is just verdict watch. So we are chugging along at Petty Express time.
I want to go back and discuss a few things before we move forward. When you previously testified when you previously testified about the automated license plate reader catching the Malibu on October 3rd at about 5:33 in the morning.
Correct.
You had not, did you, through your investigation, determine, or were you able to determine who that vehicle was registered to?
Yeah, there was two parties on the registration.
Who were those parties?
There's Miguel Rodriguez and then Blanca Canedo, which is Stacy's mother. And then Miguel's obviously Stacy's brother.
And what address was that
And
registered to?
Aya, thank you for becoming a member and joining the Hand Workers United. I do have a video that explains the infamous hand job story, the story that my youngest, most ferals gifted me. And, well, it is under a video called I Am Sorry, Mike Rowe. I apologize, parenting fail. It is infamous and hilarious, but that is why we say hand workers here. Because my boys confused working with your hand with hand jobs and decided to tell their teacher at their very Shiite Christian school that they were going to do so many hand jobs when they grew up. College is stupid. Everyone should do hand jobs. And I am trying to get them to have the fear of God in them, that should they ever say this to a teacher, because I need no CPS involvement, okay? So I was like, if you ever say that, you will lose your pad forever. So thank you so much. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have dark chocolate sarcasm and, you know, all the fun that us Insidians do when we stay inside and avoid people.
4540 First Street Road.
All right.
Oh, also, if I haven't followed you on X, it's because I forget and I'm just dead awful at X. So Tammy,
Now, through
I
the
did
course
follow
of your
you back,
investigation,
but
you were able to
I'm dead
obtain
awful
and
at it.
secure the phone numbers of both the defendant and Hosanna Varela.
That's correct.
Right. And how did you go about obtaining those? Well, let me ask you this way. Were you provided or did you find that information?
I found the information.
And have you had a chance to review Hosanna Varela's phone records for phone location and tower connectivity in conjunction with the video surveillance that you observed throughout the course of your investigation?
Yes, I have.
And is that, was that the T-Mobile records?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to hand you what is marked as plus 228, 229, 230. Have you take a look at those. Now, during the course of your investigation, you authored a number of production of records.
Correct.
Did that include the T-Mobile records for Hosanna Varela?
Yes.
Did you receive those?
Yes,
And have those previously been admitted in this trial as People's Number 192?
they have.
Were you able to take off of that certain information to assist you in your investigation?
I was.
In regards to 228, 229, and 230, what are those documents? Or can you explain what those documents are?
Yeah, so this is specifically what is called the data sessions. It's that is under Ms. Varela's phone records, which is just showing the data between her phone and a tower. And so it basically, the first 228 lays out exactly what the columns are. It's an Excel, kind of like an Excel spreadsheet that we get these formatted in. And it's just laying out, the first line is IP address, and then it goes IMEI, IMSI, start time, end time, no, and then there's a further, and then it goes address, city, state, zip, and then it gives a latitude and longitude. And then it's also notates that it's in UTC time. So during this time, when it's in UTC time, during this time on October 3rd, we subtract 6 hours to get it to Mountain Standard Time. So that's what we have to do. So you'll see in the records that it actually shows that it's 6 hours faster than what it actually is on October 3rd.
So does that information also provide to you what I would call a key for you to analyze that?
Yeah, it provides a key that tells us like what IMEI numbers are and stuff. If they didn't spell out the location of the cell phone tower, then it gives like proprietary numbers, and then it would provide a key for that. But in this instance, they actually spell out exactly where the location of the cell phone tower is, and it gives a longitude and latitude.
Does 228, 29, and 230, are those accurate copies of what you observed when you reviewed People's 192?
It is, yes.
All right, at this time, I'd move into evidence People's 228, 229, and 230.
Any objection to those three exhibits?
No.
All right, I will admit into the record 228, sorry, give me just a second, 228, 229, 230, and you may publish where appropriate.
All right.
It's not, Yeah, it's not a look that I would co-sign. And the double polka dot thing is a no too.
176, you recognize that?
I do, yes.
Thank you, Moonfox
Very
Studio.
accurate Google map of the area represented.
Yes.
At this time, I'd move into evidence people's 176.
I think 176 was previously. I think it's already been entered. Yeah.
All right.
So, in 1 second, Mr. President. Yes, I believe that's already been entered.
This guy is honestly in full F deficit, I think.
So, I'm going to ask the public's 176 as well.
Is that, I thought that was 176.
It is.
Ma'am, you just look
Oh,
could
yes,
not
I'm
be
sorry. Yes.
bothered.
That's fine.
Don't lick,
All right, so
don't.
Detective
damn
Burrows, can you
it.
tell us what we're looking at here in regards to people's 176?
So this is just an aerial view, which encompasses Christopher Dickerson's neighborhood, and then it also encompasses some of the University of Northern Colorado campus. So that's going to be up here. This is the University of Northern Colorado campus, and then Christopher Dickerson's house is right here.
All right. If we could publish, can we publish 228, please? 228. So what are we, this is people's 228. Can you just describe what we're looking at here, please?
That's the first exhibit I described where it talks about how it's in UTC time. And these are just the columns that it lays out at what each column represents when you get those, the data locations or the phone records. And you can see right here, it's address, city, state, zip, azimuth, latitude, longitude between those two.
Publish 229, please. And what are we looking at here?
He does it too with azimuth. It's azimuth. Like you don't have to overpronounce the I. It's just azimuth. I mean, I know it sounds a bit assy, but if you say azimuth, it sounds like you're, well, trying to put on airs. Yeah, probably. She does it a lot. She's very fidgety sometimes, but she also is very laid back. I mean, or at least in my opinion, her body posture seems kind of laid back. And there are moments where she looks like she could not be bothered. She could be waiting at the DMV. This is not a case regarding her life. It really is quite interesting to watch her sometimes.
So this is the first set of records that I looked at in regards to when I knew that Stacy and Hosanna and Chris were at the residence. And you can see here the time. Like, for instance, on this bottom one, it says 8:48. When we subtract 6 hours, that's actually 2:48. So that is consistent with the video that I saw of them being at the location. I'm also looking and saying, yes, it's consistent. Then as you go through the column, you can see, this is where the address column, it gives 17 TK Lawrence and Hall, UNC, Greeley, Colorado, 80639, and then it gives the latitude and longitude. This is representing the cell phone tower that the phone is connecting to.
All right.
And Mr. Burrows, just to clarify for me, to make sure that I'm clear, this is all referring to Hosanna Varela's cell phone. Is that correct?
Just Hosanna Varela's cell phone.
Thank you.
And then if we could have 230, please.
Again, these are the records that I found that encompass the time that they are at Christopher Dickerson's residence. And I know that Stacy's there, Hosanna's there, and Christopher's there. And these are just showing the connectivity, again, at Lawrence and Hall. And I did subtract the time, again, just to 6 hours. So it's 3:48 in one of the columns, 3:54. So I'm able to say, okay, yes, the time matches up with the video surveillance.
And as the court noted, this is in regards to Hosanna Varela's cell phone.
Correct.
And were you able to essentially track movements in that area with that tower at Lawrence and Hall on the evening in question?
Well, what I was able to do is show when video shows Stacy, Hosanna, and Chris are at the house. It shows that she is connected to that tower. When they leave the area, she's no longer connected to the tower. That's what I can show with it. I can't show exactly where they're at in relation to the tower. All I can say is that the phone's connected to the tower.
So turning your
With
attention
great
back
power
to
comes great
176, are you
responsibility,
familiar
and
with
I
the
tap
UNC campus?
everything.
Yes,
Can you point out on that chart where this Lawrence and Hall is located?
right here. You'll see the circular field, and it's right there. And so
And-
that is, and so that's the
Hey,
Lawrence and Hall. That's the cell
yeah.
phone tower, and then that's Christopher's residence right there.
All right. All right, thank you. So Judge, at this time, I would
Interesting.
again formally admit to move into evidence people's 223.
All right, thank you. Can you bring me 228, 229, 230, and can the parties approach? And
I will say that this judge has been very fair, and whenever the state or the defense brings something up, he is quick with a citation or is looking or says, "Hey, I need to look at this fully during the break before I give you any answers of what I think we're going to do." So he has been very diligent and taking time. So I like him. I still am trying to figure out what tattoo he has on his arm.
All right. Oh, and I'm sorry. Those are those. The court will admit 223 into the record. Ladies and
I
gentlemen,
didn't say I'd use it responsibly.
To take our lunch recess. Give me just a second here. I want to remind you that until the trial is complete, this must contract you. So just, Mr. Rouse, you can retake yourself. 45, just so that we can discuss that instruction. And Ms. Devereaux, Mr. Pralia, if you have an
Probably.
agreed upon proposal or if you have competing proposals as to that instruction, if you could email those to me over the lunch hour, that would be helpful.
Absolutely. Do you want it directly to you or Ms. Granado?
Why don't you just send it directly to me?
And just for point of clarification, when we call these people out of order, you're going to tell the jury?
I'll notify them that we're calling them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Oh, these
All
must
right,
be
court will be in
defense
recess until
witnesses. Interesting. And as much as the state and defense have acted like siblings in the backseat of a long car ride, they have been fairly accommodating to each other when, scheduling things need to be done. Now, the woman in purple or periwinkle was actually a state DA before she became a defense attorney. I've actually liked her style a lot better. I think she's got a softer voice and she isn't annoying. Unfortunately, Blondie's been taking care of the case for a long time.
Colorado versus Stacy Rodrigues. The parties are present as previously captioned. We come back after our lunch recess and we are outside of the presence of the jury. Before we resume, I wanted to address number one, the 1006 contemporaneous limited instruction, if that is a request. And then also I received a communication from the jury regarding a previous limited instruction, and I think we need to address that as well. Ms. Devereaux, with respect to the summary evidence instruction, did you have a proposal? If you sent something over, I don't think I got it.
We sent it to Ms. Granado. We
You
did
sent
send
it to Miss Granada. He done told you. Like, I have photographic or footage where he said, "Send it to me." Now, I am a redhead who babbles on the internet, and if I can remember that, how can they not remember that? It is quite irritating.
Can you print it out?
And Catherine Boyson said, "Our body always tries to do the best in a situation it is in, unconsciously meant. If someone cannot fight or flight, the body or soul will do." Absolutely. It's not a coping mechanism that I have. I'm a hair twirler or a finger tapper. So I know, I'm like, Stacy's mom has got it going on. She's all I want and something, something. I forget the lyrics other than Stacy's mom. Okay, y'all, if you want something to giggle about, and I know I shouldn't be giggling in church, but in Christmas time, you will always see people confused when you're like Silent Night and we forget that there's a second verse. So it's like, "Oh, holy night. Holy crap, there's another verse here. Did you know there were more words? 'Cause I didn't. Da 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 da. Something, something. Did someone leave you a paper? 'Cause I don't remember the words. Oh, holy night." I love that because usually, and then like Amazing Grace, everyone knows the first verse, and then it's like, da, 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 da. The one person that knows the words is singing real loud, and the rest of us are like, "Da, da, da, yes, I'm holding to something, Jesus, yay." At least that's me. I always notice when people, kind of forget the words, and it's always hilarious to me because I always forget that there's a second, third, fourth verse of everything.
All right, thank you. Mr. Pralia, did you have a chance to look at that, and do you have any position on that?
Judge, I did receive.
Mr. McCormick, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I did receive that email, and I think that's appropriate.
All right. And the only concern I have about that is the last sentence, and just because I'm not sure that it's terribly clear, is the intent that sentence indicate that you may consider it as a summary, but you may not consider it for any other
That's a
reason?
better way to put it,
Okay.
yes. And I took that as like I think it's D02, if I remember correctly, in Colgy, the general stock contemporaneous limiting instruction has that like final sentence of you may not consider it for any other reason.
No, and I think that is appropriate. I was worried that it, as phrased, was a little bit confusing. So I am going to rewrite it to read, you may consider it as a summary, but may not consider it for any other reason. Ms. Devereaux, is that acceptable to you?
Yes, please, thank you.
And Mr. McCormick, with that change, is that acceptable?
Yes, sir.
And then, did both parties receive a copy of this communication we received from the jury? Okay. So the question essentially, there's two questions in there, but they both relate to
Living life with FND, LOL, Confessions of Mo. My family member didn't grow up in the church, and when they get to the greeting, peace be with you, they introduce themselves and would have a conversation. I know. You know what's funny is when you can tell when you see a bunch of Catholics or Episcopalians, which is Catholic light, when you're like, peace be with you. And someone will say also with you, because we know it is ingrained. That's why when anyone says, I'm just like, peace be with you, and also with you. As an introvert, though, can we continue to use COVID rules? Because I am totally okay with random people not hugging me. I'm okay with like a thumbs up for Jesus. But this whole like you have to turn around and, hug people and touch people, I'm against it. Introverts were loving church. Like no one could get called up to the front. No one got, mentioned in the sermon. It was great.
I guess, the expiration of the limiting instruction that the court previously read. Ms. Devereaux, Ms. Trujillo, do you have any suggestions for a response? Do you believe the court should respond? Can you address that, please?
Yes, I do have some concerns that the jury might not have understood what the limiting instruction was, based on these questions, obviously, but that of how necessarily to consider the evidence. I think the court could reread the limiting instruction. That would be our request. It's not offering additional clarification and it's not rehashing the evidence, but I think if the
I'm
court
kind of
rereads the
okay
limiting
with that,
instruction,
but we need,
hopefully
look,
that would be able to kind of cure.
if we are going to go to a text-only based society, Elon, in between knocking up people with your random passel of children, could you possibly get you and Mr. Big Balls, or whatever his name is, Harry Balls now, I don't know, could you make a sarcasm font? I know you understand computer magic because you're all, smart and stuff, and you love Diet Coke the way I do. I just don't have your money and might need to stop with them raising prices. So pray for my family and the safety they're in. That being said, give us a sarcasm font. I'm gonna need it. And an angry font. And a happy font. Just give us the opportunity to change our fonts our own selves. I don't know what computer magic-y code matrixy stuff you need, but get on that. We could even make it Comic Sans. It's a yellow or orange head and ball.
Cure this issue with the understanding that you can consider other evidence generally, but when you are hearing about the reason for not reporting a crime, it's limited, of course, to that purpose.
So I guess I'm considered, because the instruction that I read previously didn't really talk about like the category of evidence. It just said the evidence that you're about to hear. To try and clarify it for the jury, and I want to make sure that the parties agree that I'm accurately stating this. If I use basically that template, but state that the evidence presented regarding prior acts of abuse between Ms. Rodriguez and Ms. Varela is being presented, and then read the rest of that instruction. Do you believe if I presented as that category, that's sufficiently clear for the jury?
Yes, I think that would be fine. I don't have an objection to that.
Okay, and from the state, if I present it as such, do you think that's sufficiently clear to the jury to answer that question?
I do. I also read the question that it applied during the time period of Ms. Varela's testimony. And so I think that's clear for the jury that that applied when they heard that evidence from the time that that was read to them until the other acts of abuse were no longer being spoken about. Because that's
Are
really the
his eyes
goalposts that they're
green?
asking about.
They're very pretty. He
So
too
if
would
I
make an
adjust
excellent
that to
drag
read,
queen.
during Ms. Varela's testimony, evidence presented regarding prior acts of abuse between Ms. Varela and Ms. Rodriguez were presented for the limited
Good-
purpose, et cetera. Do you
Good
believe that's
info.
rectifies your concerns there?
I do.
Okay, all right, then let me just type that out so I make sure I have that.
He does look like Joel McHale.
And I guess I'll just tell the court my overarching concern is that they are going to look at the notes from jail, for example, and not believe that those weren't allowed in for a limited purpose. So I think it does need to specifically discuss the testimony of Ms. Varela regarding the abuse, and that's why I wanted it phrased that way.
So I think it may be somewhat of a complicated issue because there were some mention of prior acts of abuse within those notes, although relatively limited compared to the rest of the testimony. So I'm going to read it as previously indicated, and I may need to rely on the parties during argument if they want to sort of scalpel out that from other information, because I agree there's the majority of that probably doesn't go to that prior acts of abuse. It goes to other things. But I think there is one thing, and I can't remember the number of the note. I think it was maybe 4 that was talking about that in detail. Maybe 2 or 4. I'm not sure which one. But I appreciate that.
I like that this judge, again, is very thorough. He, really thinks about the problem through. He talks to the lawyers, and he's being fair. He is listening to their opinions, but then he ultimately makes the choice. I really like this judge. And I'm sorry it's cold and snowing in Alberta. I will say, so I have looked at Alberta, not that I'm going to become Canadian, but I always dreamed of having a cabin in the woods with a bunch of snow around it. And you guys, it's beautiful up there. At least it looks pretty when it snows. Of course, my intention with the cabin is that I wouldn't really be leaving it during the snow. I'd be sitting near a fire, reading a book in a little hobbit-like house. Yes, I wanted a hobbit hole as my dream house or a cabin in the woods. I haven't decided which one, but Mr. Moe is incredibly tall, so I doubt that the hobbit hole thing is going to work, unless he wants to look like Gandalf with, because So I am planning in the next several years to start doing scouting missions for different climates that might be better for my condition. So I will be going to God's Butthole, Arizona. I will try to do it with an open mind-ish. I have covered some of the Delphi murders. I did read the entire Frank's motion in a series of videos. I have not done a lot here lately. This winter has not been the best. There is so much coming out. I look at Defense Diaries and they're doing a great job doing it, but I have not been up to date. I do need like 5 days where nothing happens in my life so I can get caught up on a bunch of cases. I don't know if that's going to happen, but either I need more hours or less stuff happening. That is on the list too. I know that they have mountains, and I do want a mountain if I can't get trees.
All right, and then I will read the other limiting instruction regarding 223 when we resume with Mr. Burrows' testimony. I will let the jury know that to accommodate some scheduling issues, we're going to call a couple of witnesses out of order, and then we will resume with Mr. Burrows' testimony. Ms. Navarro, Mr. Hio, is it Dr. Burson or the other witness that is going first?
Mr. Mistiel's going first.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Mistiel, am I saying that right?
Mistiel, I think it's pronounced Mistal.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there anything else that we need to address before we bring the jury back in?
I don't believe so.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring the jury in and we'll get started.
Someone is breathing incredibly loudly in their microphone. I think it's the judge. Nod and smile, but not a creepy smile. Yes, Sticky Widget. Look, I may or may not have been an ass to Mr. Moe, and I feel bad because he was all excited. You guys, he was all excited. He came up to my room and he was like, look, I've been doing this, looking at places that are better, have low humidity, not a lot of rain, not a lot of cold. And the first thing he pulled up was Arizona. And y'all, I do admit I am I guess I'm racist against Arizona. I don't know. Look, Arizona, I'm sure, is a wonderful place. And, all that other jazz. And I am sure that people that live there love it. But it is hot. It is dry. There are no trees. It is full of hippies. They all wear patchouli oil. There's crystals and other stuff. And I just, no. Look, here's the deal. My dream, it is too hot. And I love that people are like, it's a dry heat. I'm like, there are MFing trash cans melting on the pavement. That is not a dry heat. That is God's butthole. That is hell on earth. Now, that being said, I will admit, again, that I have never been to Arizona and therefore cannot be Arizonist against it. So I will be, going to Arizona areas and looking at that. But Arizona is where I would send all those ridiculous and asshole cyclists. And I'm not racist against cyclists. Look, there are some good cyclists who aren't a-holes, but the majority of cyclists are a-holes. I live out in the country with hills, and every time there is a good weekend, there is a flock of a-holes in spandex waving you past on a blind hill up a hill on a blind curve. Like, no, Lance Armstrong, I'm not going to take my big old breeder mobile on a blind hill, up to a curve to avoid your ass. No, I'm going to wait till I get to the top. But there's always this one a-hole just waving you forward like you have a place to go. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry, I didn't sign up to, dance around in spandex. So, kiss my behind, I'm not moving. Yeah. So I did consider maybe, in the winter I could go, but it's still, as I said, it's not anywhere that I ever wanted to go. And I feel like it's just one more thing that CRPS is robbing from me. And that is a candle on the bookcase, yes. I am watching it. I do not have really anything flammable over there with it, but I do keep an eye on it since it's on my screen to make sure that it's not, firing everything. But yeah, that's it. Again, I have never visited Arizona. I will try Arizona. Maybe I have, like, I'm racist against Arizona. I fully admit it. Look, I have called it God's butthole and hell on earth many, many times. Put me on the tourist board. I'm the best Arizona. It's just, it's nowhere that I ever wanted to be. And again, I'm having to get to adapt, but I am 0% okay with this. All right, I will blow it out. Give me a second. True.
Yes, absolutely. Is Alyssa giving you a drink? Oh, okay. I didn't see her like sneak in.
It's just
Please
too
rise
dang
for the jury.
hot. Now, to be fair, I have never been a cold-blooded person until I got CRPS. I felt, see, this is what happens when you're a little too smug about yourself. God humbles you. Now, I used to be able to go out dead of winter with just a hoodie on because I was always warm-blooded and, it's fine. Like, I'm a little cold, but I'd rather just get in the store and not have to add my bulky coat to the 18 bulky coats that my sons are going to throw into the, grocery cart. Now, I will say, I understand women being cold now, and I did feel superior. I'm not going to lie. I felt superior never being cold, never being one of the women's that had to have a sweater or, do that. Now I have to have like a sweater, 3 blankets, and a heating pad. So maybe Arizona might be right for me. I am in Indiana right now. So we're trying to find some place that works for everyone. I'm hoping Guam. Yeah, I do like the seasons. That's the problem. Ooh, Maddie B has the same issues and has narrowed it down to San Antonio or North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee. So that's kind of where I am. We're looking just for a place that's not as warm, but I don't like it being hot or cold. I really need to live in San Diego, but it's in California, so that's annoyed. No, and I'm annoyed. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these places, and I will say I am libertarian conservatarian. Like I'm really live and let live. Just don't be mean to dogs and cats and children. And don't make your, special, unique, who you sleep with as your personality. And I'm fine. I am totally fine to live and let live. That being said, Mr. Mo is, conservatarian. He's Shiite conservative. So there are some places. But I am going to go on scouting missions, so I will try to do meetups while I'm out. We are looking at different places. I am trying to be open to different climates that I didn't think about. So I am hoping that, I will learn new things. Maybe I'll go to Arizona and be converted. I'll become an Arizonite. I will feel the vibes and the crystals and the hippiness, and I will just, be awesome. I will think about it. And I don't dislike hippies. It is the overuse of patchouli oil. Really, I don't care. Hippies, go be hippies, use your tambourines. It's the patchouli oil. It is not
ladies and gentlemen,
deodorant.
before we resume,
Stop
I
it.
received a question from the jury. I'm going to address that question now. Just to read that communication into the record, that question was, when was the instruction for limiting lifted, and when were we able to resume consideration of evidence, and not for the reason not reporting a crime. To address those questions, I will read you the following. During Ms. Varela's testimony, evidence presented regarding prior acts of abuse between Ms. Rodrigues and Ms. Varela was presented only for the limited purpose of failure to report the crimes prosecuted in this manner. You may not consider that evidence for any other reason.
Oh, but you guys, I have to tell you, I turned a page on my Cartman-like dislike of hippies. So actually, the guy at the local shop who's very knowledgeable about what is legal in Indiana and kind of what, look, I'm gonna tell you guys, I was a goody two-shoes for my entire life. I hadn't touched the devil's lettuce or extracts that are available and legal in, Indiana until I got hurt. And there is a gentleman at a local store or shop or whatever you call them that knows his stuff, and he could be Valhalla's grandpa. Nothing is wrong with hippies except that some hippies, just some, and this is the only problem I really have, the patchouli oil. Look, I get you want to be natural. I get patchouli oil smells nice in small doses, but it is not deodorant. So if I smell feet, body funk, and then patchouli oil, I am out. I am out. I am out. Also the drum circles. But, I mean, that's usually because I just don't want to sit down on the ground and talk to people I don't know.
And then due to the need to accommodate some other witnesses' schedules, we're going to call a couple of defense witnesses out of order. And
We
then,
have been looking
once that
there,
testimony is
too.
completed, we will resume with Mr. Burroughs' testimony. At this time, Ms. Devereaux, you may call your witness.
Thank you. We'll call Mr. Kent Mistel.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. If you'll please come forward. And Mr. Mistel, if you'll just walk over here by the witness stand, and before you sit down, I'll just need you to raise your right hand. Just right over here, sir. And if you'll come around front, sir, just so that you can get back there easier. Mr. Mistel, before you sit down, will you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm under penalty
Oh,
of
I see
perjury
we
that the
dressed up for
testimony you're about
court.
to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I know this is a particular bugbear for me as I'm showing my bra strap because this dress is too big, as I'm going to make fun of this man. Look, I get you don't want to be in court, but could we go back to a society where we kind of demanded things? There was a sort of level of decorum. People dressed up to go to airports. I mean, could we get back to at least dressing for court? A polo shirt, khakis. You don't have to have a suit, but maybe not your favorite hoodie. Ooh. Actually, Thor wants you to hook him up with catnip. Now, I will say that Thor has a problem. Thor, when he gets high, the white cat that you guys have seen trying to knock over pictures, he will first attack my pantry because I have a bunch of pantry stuff. I get a lot of beans and storable stuff. He will open one of the can of beans or some of the macaroni, and then he will waller in the beans going, oh, oh, oh. I swear, he gets so high, I have to talk him down. And I have used that excuse to not go places like, I'm sorry, my cat is too high, I need to talk him down. He's a little Twitter-pated right now, because he does. I think he gets so high. He has to, I have to talk him down. He's like, oh, just rolling in beans. And I'm like, dude, don't become Tally. Tally is bad. I don't want to have to have an intervention for him. That's why I'm never getting Silvervine, the mega catnip, because I know it'll be bad.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and have a seat. And Mr. Mistel, if you can get just as close as is reasonable to that microphone, that will help everybody being able to hear you a lot.
So about right here?
Yes, and you can slide that microphone around so you don't have to bend over if that's more comfortable. And Ms. Devereaux, you can proceed when you're ready.
Thank you. Sir,
Yeah,
can
never
you please
bend
state
over
your
in
first
court.
name and last name and spelling your last name for the record, please?
Kent Mistel, Mistal.
Thank you, Mr. Mistel. Mr. Mistel, what do you do for a living?
Right now, I'm a student going to college for animation.
Okay. Mr. Mistel, did you know
Mr. Mistel, if you would like to help a lowly content creator make an intro with animation and stuff and graphical stuff, and you're willing to work for Hot Pockets, contact me. I am on Twitter under Mo in the Deep 84. Contact me. I am willing to pay you in name brand Hot Pockets, not even great value. I am going out on a limb. I'll even get the mega stuffed. I'll get you, hell, I'll go to Sam's Club and get you a whole big box, okay? I'm just saying it might be the only offer going around right now considering animation.
Wait, Christopher Dickerson.
That's why I offered.
Only for about 1 day.
Okay. Were you friends with him?
My friend Nate was a friend of his.
Okay.
I'd barely known him.
Okay. Did you know him enough to send text message communications with him?
Occasionally, yeah, we were starting to become friends, but we didn't really know each other.
Okay. Did you come to learn that Mr. Dickerson ultimately passed?
I found out about that probably about a week or so after I'd gotten back home.
And was that getting back home from visiting this area?
So, yeah, as I was passing through on my way back,
Am I detecting a little bit of Canuck in there? A boat? Too? Am I, is he a secret Canadian? Undercover Canadian? When your mom says, when you ask your mom for Jason Momoa and she says we have Jason Momoa at home, or whatever his name, look, I know he is some people's like big, tall, sexy, but the fact that he doesn't shower is what, look, just no. Nope, 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 nope. I'm sorry, that just takes away all the sexy, because I can't imagine Aquaman not taking a shower. But apparently he doesn't for environmental reasons, and Lisa Bonet, I don't know. What happened to Lisa Bonet? Anywho, let's continue.
on my way back home, because Nate and I were staying out in Florida, and I'd only been out of the Army for about, I want to say, 6 or 7 months or so. So it was just a pit stop more than anything.
Okay.
Wait, MFer, you grew your hair that long in, let's say, 2 years? I hate you so much right now. I am like taking vitamins and trying to eat healthier-ish. And definitely, you got to grow those. Again, it is just not fair that men have beautiful, shiny hair. Nick has beautiful hair. And you ask them what they do to it, and they're like, shampoo and conditioner. Women, I have like tote boxes full of BS hair stuff to kind of get my hair grow. It's just, it is not fair.
And did you and Mr. Dickerson exchange a text communication on October 2nd, 2021?
Probably. I'm guessing he was wishing me a happy birthday.
True.
Is October 2nd your birthday?
Yep.
Okay. So does that date stand out to you?
Not really anything of note. Like, I don't normally do much.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, ma'am, I'm an inside cat. Like, this is what I do. I stay inside. I'm an insideian. We don't do much in the outside world, but ask me about my YouTube channel. Oh, they didn't have to do him like that. And she was like, okay, that's fair. Like, ma'am, could you just be nice to this man? Look, he's gonna work for me for Hot Pockets. He's in a low place, okay? I never watched Game of Thrones. Never did. Never could get into it. Didn't. And honestly, I think a lot of people watched it because of the boobies. But I have a pair of boobies I can just look at any time. So I didn't see the excitement. And also, full frontal male nudity isn't like the most aesthetically pleasing to look at either. So I was kind of okay. I missed the whole thing. Like, it is to me.
Would it refresh your memory to see a screenshot of a text message that you provided
No,
the
it
police,
wouldn't.
the Greeley Police Department, of a text message between you and Mr. Dickerson on October 2nd, 2021.
What was the text?
Would it refresh your memory to look at it?
I mean, maybe this was like, what, 3.5 years ago about now?
Okay, so would it refresh your memory?
He's
if you
like,
saw the
I
text
got
message that you
high
gave
between the-
investigators at the Greeley Police Department?
I guess.
Okay, Mayor Poach?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh my goodness. I still can't grasp why this family member who is so frugal bought $120 bottles of shampoo and conditioner each and $60 of a
So
sample. Holy
Hold on.
goodlet.
I'll ask you the question, okay? Is your memory refreshed now?
I mean, not really.
Okay. Does that look like
So they are, Vicky Hat, sorry I've been listening most of the time, getting party ready for grandson's first birthday. Congratulations to grandson's first birthday. It's always so fun to see them tear into the cake or get Twitter pated because they don't like sticky stuff on their hands. It's really interesting to see who goes for the cake and then who gets kind of like textury. But then they realize it's cake and like it's cake. But they did call defense witnesses out of order due to scheduling. So given this man's ability to remember absolutely nothing since the last time allegedly he used devil's lettuce, I don't think this is going to refresh his memory. That being said, let's continue. Also, I like that hoodie. A hoodie with a flannel inside. I am going to Rural King today.
a text message you received from Mr. Dickerson on October 2nd?
I mean, it does look like one I received from him, but I'm not really sure what the context is here.
Okay, I'm not asking you for the context. I'm just saying, is it a fair and accurate depiction of a text message that you received from Mr. Dickerson on October 2nd? And you know there's even a date there, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so is it a fair and accurate depiction?
Yes.
Okay, this time I move to admit Defense Exhibit A.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right. The court will admit defense A into evidence, and you may publish at your discretion.
Thank you.
Are they going to go back to where he called
So
people
you can
thoughts?
see the top left corner says the time and then NCLE Chris. Do you know if under that it was a U for uncle?
Yeah, I think that's what it was supposed to be.
Okay. And in this text message on October 1st, does Mr. Dickerson say to you, or I'm sorry, do you say to Mr. Dickerson, Uncle Chris?
Yeah, it's just something we jokingly called each other.
Okay. Because you were friends, right? Right. And then there's Uncle Ken as the response, right?
Correct.
And then on October 2nd, Mr. Dickerson sends you a text message about, I have my glasses on, so I can't see the time from here, but is it 3:36 p.m. on October 2nd?
Correct.
And he's describing just waking up after taking some melatonin, right?
Correct.
And then the next text message you received from Mr. Dickerson was on October 3rd at 12:01 a.m., correct?
Correct.
And that reads, quote, ended up hitting the bars, grinded on thoughts.
Correct.
THOTS, right?
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Do you want this to left?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So is it correct that you never knew Christopher Dickerson until you came to the Greeley area on October 1st?
Yeah, I'd never met him in person prior to that point.
And you came with a friend named Nate?
Correct.
Did Nate know Mr. Dickerson?
Yeah, so he knew him for years, and he would be better suited on the stand than I.
So you indicated, just because I want to kind of get a time, you were in Florida around what day?
I was in Florida for anywhere from like 5 to 7 months. It's kind of fuzzy. It was a while ago.
Okay. And you,
Sir, is there anything that's not a little bit fuzzy to you? I'm gonna help this man before he starts rolling around on beans going, oh, oh, oh. He literally does. I will have to film him. And the defense attorney was so pissed off that he said thoughts. I like this guy. He's honest. He is just honest and a beautiful man. And hopefully he will work for Hot Pockets and help me do intros and other little celebrity deathmatch things with, you know, our favorite defendants. Sir, again, I am willing to buy you bulk-sized, not great value, but real mega stuffed Hot Pockets. I can make this happen if you can do my animation. Now, the problem is that I'm relying on a man who is fuzzy about everything. So I will get this back. Oh my God, he is the living embodiment of Trent from Daria. Mystic spiral all the way. For the 5 of you who got that,
You were driving from Florida to where?
So I was driving from Florida back to Arizona.
All right. And you stopped in Colorado. Was it specifically to see Mr. Dickerson?
It was just a pit stop to sleep for the night.
Had there been arrangements made with Mr. Dickerson for you two to stop and sleep that night?
Nate made those arrangements.
All right. And so you'd never been to Mr. Dickerson's residence before?
Nope.
All right. And you met him for the first time, is it fair to say, on October 1st of 2021, correct?
I do believe so.
All right. Did you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, we introduced each other, shook hands.
All right. Did you spend the night at his residence on October 1st, 2021?
Yes.
Was there talking going on?
Yeah, but mostly about mundane things in regards to work.
All right. Were you inside Mr. Dickerson's residence?
Correct.
All right. Were you in the living room area?
Correct.
While you were talking with Mr. Dickerson, could you observe his demeanor at the time?
He was in pretty good spirits, from what little.
I'm not going to lie. When Daria did that future kind of flash forward with her and Trent was still trying to get a job or make Mystic Spiral happen, it broke my heart. You know, Trent and Daria weren't right for each other, but you wanted it to happen. You wanted it.
Little I remember, he was talking about just home improvement projects, fixing up his garage.
Was there anything about his behavior that night that you would describe as not normal?
Objection,
No.
relevance.
Nope.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I need to respond to the objection. The objection was relevance. I'll overrule the objection. Sir, if you can repeat that answer.
Which answer?
If
Well,
you
I-
can repeat the question.
I will. Did you notice anything that wasn't normal about his behavior, Mr. Dickerson's behavior that night?
No, there was no abnormal behavior.
How would you describe the conversation that you three were having?
Well, from what I recall, we just talked about work-related stuff. He had a few questions to ask me about like my duffel bags and stuff like that, but that was just all of my stuff from my duty station in Fort Riley. And then beyond that, all we really did was grilled burgers and watch Squidbillies.
Okay. Okay. Now,
He's like, look, dude, we took some gummies and we watched cartoons. What do you want from me? And Squidbillies. Well, at least it wasn't, you know, Powerpuff Girls.
did Mr. Dickerson seem like a pleasant person to you?
Objection, 401, 403, and character evidence.
I'll sustain the objection.
Did he charge you for anything that particular night?
Oh, no,
Objection,
nothing at all.
401, 403, character.
I'll just, Mr. McCormick, if you want to approach.
Why is the... What in the world? Why is the...
Did you know anything about the?
Wait,
I'll just, Mr. McCormick, if you want to approach.
wait, what happened here? Okay, so maybe they decided to not have the witness do anything. I have heard of it. I just didn't know how to use it, Darlene. To be honest, all the hair things that are out there are a bit overwhelming and confusing. I don't understand why the happy coroner is back, the merry dissector, the vivisector with a smile. Although vivisection is done while you're still alive, and not gonna lie, that smile makes me think it could have happened, allegedly in Minecraft and only in my headcanon. This man is a nice man, he's very happy, so we're all confused by him. I love that we're so deeply cynical that when someone's actually just happy in their life, we're like, he's hiding something. Or at least I am. Again, why is he back?
Did you know anything about the condition of his liver?
I don't recall.
And this is for the defense, so they might be putting forward or positing that they're putting out that Chris might have been a heavy drinker that caused, a fatty liver. Now, again, they're kind of trying to string along and show that Chris had a propensity to be out of control drinking, but they really haven't introduced any evidence that he changed behavior. Now, if I'm looking into your eyes and you are telling me that Chris Dickerson didn't get high as balls with the last particular witness, they're trying to put in there that maybe he gets out of control, maybe he drinks too much. But again, they don't have that kind of other layer of evidence that has, he gets in domestics when he's drinking. They don't have a history of that. But they are going to bring, I guess, the medical examiner up to basically denigrate the decedent more, to say he had a fatty liver, at least in my opinion, they're probably going to do that, and allude that he had a drinking problem. But considering how much the defendant and the other defendant drank, it's really the pot calling the kettle black.
Should I
Do you
can I
have a
refer?
copy?
I do.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at your autopsy report?
It would.
Your Honor, Mayhew, please.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Okay.
So your memory refresh now?
Yeah, there's no significant findings.
Okay. Do you recall doing a death certificate and writing or noting a fatty liver? Fatty liver.
I don't, but we looked at this worksheet the other day. I don't remember if I wrote that on there, but I didn't do the death certificate and I didn't write a fatty liver, I'm sure.
Would it refresh your recollection to review that death certificate?
The worksheet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, no, we need the whiteboard of truth, the mini whiteboard of truth for this, because is this heifer, and I do mean heifer, because at this point, the questions that she's asked. And thank you, Tammy Fayette. I'm here for cynicism, dark humor, all of it. It makes me happy. Me too. I'm glad I sort of stumbled on this idea at 3 a.m. and you guys are liking it. And I had been really worried that people wouldn't like trials. Thank you so much. Not running on time or concurrently with the other trials. So this actually frees me up because I can't be Baker. I can't do all day, but I can break it up. But is this heifer trying to say that this heifer is trying to say he didn't die from being stabbed like a bunch of damn times in his neck? No, it was his liver. Are you kidding me? Is this where we're going? Is this where we're going with this one? Because this is the dumbest BS I've ever in my life heard. But please, defense, tell me how his fatty liver definitely unalived him, not, the stabulations. Darlene Wesley, well, if he was out of order, there would be police reports. And if I remember right, you don't need to drink in order to have a fatty liver. No, he was probably eating like a bachelor. He was probably fast food, microwave dinners, SpaghettiOs, which all taste really effing good, if I'm honest, but aren't the best healthy things for you. Although the can of SpaghettiOs will tell you that it has like half a day's serving of vegetables in it. And with meatballs, it's protein. It was the liver that done it. You're right. Yeah, attacking the victim is, again, not very good. The defense has to walk a tightrope because they have to give a reasonable explanation as to why their client, Stacy, acted like that. But it does look pretty bad when you attack the victim.
found in the coroner file. Can you copy of it? May I approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't have it printed out for you today.
Okay, yeah, so on part 2, I make a note of fatty metamorphosis of the liver, and that's on the day of autopsy.
Thank you, sir. And can you explain for the jury what is
Thanks for letting me know, JKD Buck. Mo Legal Vices once said you were criminally undersubbed. He loved you to pieces and loved your Moisms. I will tell you guys that Jeff and his snark and all that, when I say that I start every stream, look, I'm not trying to make myself seem nice or better or nothing like that. But I do start every stream with the mindset that I hope that this helps someone who's having a bad day. Because so many times, you know, Jeff streams or early Ricada or early legal, who's the tall guy that lives in Korea too? I forget what his name is sometimes. Anyway, I remember that those streams really helped me out when I was having a bad day. So I always try to pay it forward. And it's really cool that someone that I admired a lot thought highly of me. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Legal mindset. I was like, I know it's something legal and my brain escapes me. Thank you guys. I love the collective knowledge of chat. Yeah, he kind of got into subjects that I'm just not familiar with like different anime. I'm kind of an only Sailor Moon person. Though, since we finished Chernobyl, I did tell Mr. Mo I would be open to watching Attack on Titan, or is it Evangelicon? And looks one of them. Although the only anime I don't want to watch ever again is Aeon Flux. I could not understand it. I didn't get it, and it was weird. And so was the movie.
what does that mean?
So in this context, what that means is when I looked at the liver, it looked pale to me. So I wrote down fatty metamorphosis that I would then confirm or deny when I do my microscopic examination. So in this case, the liver appeared pale, which could be for a number of things, but I wrote that down. But when I do my microscopic examination,
Probably because he lost all of his blood from the neck stabulation to his carotid artery. I mean, I'm not a doctorologist or nothing, but maybe your organs would, need some blood in them or they're going to look a little pale.
there was no fat accumulation in
That
his
is
liver, or no
lovely.
steatosis, as they call it.
And what is that?
Fat accumulation in the liver, it can happen from a number of things. We often see it in our patient population,
Me too.
unfortunately. We often see it with alcohol abuse, but it's kind of more commonly in just general population associated with metabolic type derangements, diabetes, obesity. There are other metabolic disorders where you get non-alcoholic steatosis for unknown reasons. It's an area of research, but it's just a fat accumulation in the liver for a variety of reasons.
And
Chicken
in this
nuggets.
case, when you looked at it under the microscope,
Saucy
what
chicken
did
nuggets.
you see that led you to your findings in your autopsy report?
A healthy liver.
Was there any sign of any sort of
You're doing great, defense. Bring up that he has a fatty liver, and the happy coroner's like, well, microscopically, it actually looked fine. It's not going well for you, is it, defense?
of this fatty, what's that called again? Fatty mutosis?
Metamorphosis. There was no fat accumulation in his liver. His liver was normal.
Okay. And so why wouldn't you go back then and change that on the worksheet,
Boom.
the death certificate worksheet?
Because a worksheet is a document of my notes from that day. It's not a final determination. It's just these are things that I saw, and it kind of can guide me later on if I see something pop up in my. So say
See, this is what happens when you have no medical knowledge, because she doesn't realize that that's considered work product, and he hasn't done the histology, which is the cutting things up on the slides and putting it under the microscope. So the problem is that you have someone who has a sort of grasp on what's happening, but they don't understand the work product. And unless you will really understand medical stuff, don't go up against an expert. Absolutely. Oh, I'll have to get in with pineapple. Now, I will say that I'm a cheater. Look, I don't like to get into stories that I don't think I'm going to like. So I do watch all the lore before that explains it, because some of the animes that aren't Sailor Moon because that's, fairly for kids, although some of the things are super problematic for kids. But it is, gosh, what was I thinking about? Anyway, I like to watch all the lore first. I watched all the lore before I watched Fallout. I never play the games. Y'all, I am just hoping. I am praying to get big enough to get a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship. Could you imagine my tech ridiculous ass trying to sell freaking, a video game? And I say it just like Hank Hill, like it's a video game.
I see individual who has, looks like really bad emphysema, I will go back and look at my notes to see if I thought it looked like that grossly.
No,
And then
I
would put that
I
on a
saw the
report.
lore,
So it's
not
just-
for
it's a
children.
note.
No.
And this fatty liver that we're talking about, am I correct in that it doesn't develop overnight?
I don't know the timing of that. You probably need to talk
Yeah,
to a
and keep
hepatologist
subbing to
about
Jeff,
that. So I can't answer that.
Do you recall talking to my investigator and I back in October 2024, and you said, quote, it doesn't develop overnight?
Well, obviously, we talked about this the other day. I don't recall details of our conversation. So no, I don't recall that specific comment, but I don't think it would develop overnight. But for discrete timing, I would talk to the expert in that area.
And do you recall telling us that if someone was a chronic alcoholic, and you gave an example in their 20s or 30s, and you do an autopsy?
Heck yeah, you can join my clan. I'll be running around in the opening sequence, like just trying to figure out which button to bump, I'm pretty sure I have one too. To be honest, for the first year of CRPS, I ate every single feeling. Me and Mike and Ike had a deeply close personal relationship. All the flavors, even the sour. I was deeply relying on sugar comfort, so I probably have a fatty liver too. I haven't checked though, so.
In their 50s or 60s, you wouldn't see it.
So this sounds familiar. It's something I would say. So we're talking about how it could recover, I believe.
Yes.
So yeah, if someone drinks profusely early on, the liver can really regenerate itself very well. So yeah, we may not see that decades later or some period of time later. That would be correct.
Okay. Conversely, though, because the fatty liver isn't something that develops overnight, if someone was going on, let's say, a week or two long bender, you would not necessarily see it in your autopsy, correct?
I don't think I would. That probably too quick, but I don't know for a fact.
Okay. And in fact, can I have one moment, please?
Sure.
Apologize.
As a juror, I think
You
this is
actually
weak
gave my
evidence.
investigator and I an example that when you said it doesn't develop overnight, meaning the fatty liver, that it could be someone could be drinking a lot for 4 to 6 to 8 months and you still would not see a fatty liver, right?
I don't recall that. Again, I don't know that.
I figured it out about a year and 6 months after I got hurt. I will be honest that, look, you guys, I may have a no doctor kind of policy. I hate going to the doctor, mostly because the scale is involved. And I need to put on my glasses. One sec. My eyes are going not so. Gotta love Lyrica. Stupid piece of. Again, could we have a medication that doesn't cause, disassociation, feeling weird, being tired and feeling kind of otherwise stupid? Could we have a medication that does that and also helps? But, so I broke my ankle and waited 2 days to go to the emergency care because I figured it was just sprained. But no, I broke that little a-hole bone on the side of your foot. And I had experienced, since I broke it, sharp shooting pains up to my hip and burning. But I thought that, again, I'd fallen on a drainage or in a drainage ditch and, being fully weighed down because, I'm going to be extra. I was on top of it losing weight. Like I was there. So I was rucking. So I had a 15 kilogram plate in my backpack. I also had ankle weights on. Vicky hat, I am not quite sure. Maybe other people would know. I know that there was, I think, a private service, but I am not quite sure on details and stuff. So I had kept experiencing this. I went back to the doctor because my foot it constantly feels like it's frostbitten. It could be 80 to 90 degrees and my foot still feels frozen. So I went back a year later because my foot and ankle would still swell. I was having a lot of issues, and they realized that the bone had actually not come back together. So first they thought it was the bone not coming back together and I was going to have surgery. But then the surgeon said this sounds more like nerve issues, so they sent me to a physiologist, and he actually said to me, it sounds like CRPS, but no one has CRPS, so we'll give you this, and it never comes back as CRPS. So I was assuming they gave me a nuclear 3D bone scan. Now, I don't know how they detect it on the nuclear 3D bone scan, but it showed advanced CRPS in that particular ankle, and it goes all the way up to my hip. So they gave me that diagnosis, and then I kind of started learning all about it. And that was right about the time that Maya Kowalski started her trial, which was interesting. And where's that guy? Sorry, I usually get off screen for that, but I often forget to take my medicine if I don't do it right when I think about it, because I hate my medicine, to be honest with you. But that led to about a year of 4 different pain doctors because and this is no shame, and I know that there's a lot of, I know that there's a lot of kind of infighting and stuff about people who use opioids and people who don't. I didn't know that there was like internal fighting in chronic pain land, but there is. And I just have chosen I don't want to use opioids if I don't have to. They don't particularly work well with me. I feel they just make me extremely tired and groggy and loogy, and I don't want to feel like that, when I'm around my kids. That being said, I don't have any judgment for people that do to use opioids. I choose not to. It's just a choice. I don't judge anyone. I think it's stupid to judge people. I think it's dumb. You don't know what's going on with them. And honestly, it's none of your business. If it works better for their life to use whatever they're using, then just let them be happy and do whatever they, legally can and their doctor approves. That being said, it took about 3 years for me to be really comfortable with this. So, I will say, and that's why I tell everyone that, just because I look like I have things together on TV, on the stream, I don't. Because I saw Maya Kowalski when I first got diagnosed, this young woman who lost her mother, who, got medically abused, and she was just sitting there with so much grace and calmness, and just, I used her as a measuring stick to beat myself up with, and I never want to be that to other people. I never want people to look at me and say, oh, well, Mo has chronic pain, I'm sure she's got it all together. No, I don't. And so, that being all said, CRPS is a whole nother beast to get used to. And I'm sure it's the same for a lot of chronic pain. And I don't know about you guys, but it's easier to be on stream when only if you're the mayor of New York. But it's hard finding a doctor that understands you, that gives you the time of day, that gives you feasible things that help and things like that. So, and I will say there's not a lot of options in Indiana. Oh, well, thanks. And it takes time. Like, I still struggle with the fact that I can't clean my house the way I used to, that the baseboards are gross, in my opinion. I'm a little bit OCD, although a chaos demon. It's weird. So, there are days where I'm much more, at peace with it than other days, and that's okay. If you need permission to not be okay with your chronic pain condition, I give you permission. And it's, you know, it does get exhausting. I love being here. I love these streams. I love the community that we're building because it is really, really nice to have people that just understand. Because I have found the hardest thing for me with chronic pain and being an insidian and an introvert, it's doubly hard. But having to explain your weirdness to people, it feels like it takes an entire like Dune introductory packet to just explain to people why you guard your left side or you can't stand up or you're covered in lidocaine patches. It's just, it's nice that people want to know and they care, but it can be exhausting to have to explain your general weirdness every day, all the time, ad nauseum. And it's nice to have a group of people that understand. I have found so much support, so many different people that have chronic pain that have really given me wisdom, insight, and support. So as much as you guys get support from me, I get so much from you guys. Losing my mind, I just tried to put warm cans of Coke Zero in a linen closet instead of the fridge. What the F? JKD Buck, I swear, I lose my train of thought from one room to another, which is something I never used to do. But what I will say, and I wouldn't wish my condition on myself or even my worst enemy or even Kevin Spacey, which shows that my humanity has grown at least 2 sizes because I used to say everyone except Kevin Spacey. So, look, I am being a better Christian. That being said, God, you took Betty White and you left Kevin Spacey. Why? Having my condition and having, you know, a lot of times where I feel out of control with my body has made it so much easier to give grace and help with my mother-in-law because I know how it is to feel like your body is betraying you and having to ask for help when you've always been, you know, the one helping. So it has given me a great insight into some of the things she's dealing with and being able to give grace and have understanding and give kind of a different perspective to people because caretaker burnout is a real thing. Please, if you're a caretaker, do one nice thing for yourself. I know it's hard, but you know, I plan on in the next week or so getting my nails done. Not my feet. That's never going to happen again. But my nails. And you know, just try to do nice stuff for yourself because caretaker burnout is really a thing. You know, refill your own cup and, you know, be a graceful receiver. I still struggle, but I am learning how to gracefully receive help. And that's a big thing. So, you know, be graceful about, you know, accepting help and try to be mindful of, you know, how you're treating people even when you're in pain. Because that's a big thing I always try to remember is, you know, I can be snappier, I can be short, I can be irritated and sarcastic when I'm in pain. And I'm really trying this year to be not those things. You know, communicate directly and not be sarcastic or a butthole, even when I'm in pain. That is my goal this year. And we're back to fatty livers.
The timing, if I had said that, it must have been, I believed that at the time. I don't know if 4, 6, or 8 months is a huge window of time, but I don't know.
Okay. And the point is, though, it takes a substantial amount of alcohol abuse for it to be ultimately reflected in the liver. Is that fair to say?
I don't know that either because I can find fatty livers and people who just have reported regular casual use of alcohol. So I don't know the exact limit. That would, again, be something I would talk to a hepatologist or a liver expert on that for those specific details.
Hepatologist.
So when my investigator and I called you back in October 2024 and you gave these examples,
This lawyer is so pissed. She is so pissed that the happy coroner is not saying exactly what he said on the phone. But again, this goes back to that thing. It's like Alan Jackson, I believe, is possibly knows medical stuff, maybe. I know he's an expert in something, so he's the one that questions those people. But you really need a lawyer with medical knowledge to try to, again, get into these finer points of fatty liver disease progression. The coroner is going to be just like this. He's not going to be able to give you a, complete kind of thing. So she's asking the wrong witness and she doesn't quite understand what she's talking about. So it's not coming across as authoritative and really getting the point across that Chris was a terrible alcoholic. And welcome Rachel D. and James.
Is it fair to say that was
Bond.
not something you told us back then?
I don't recall our conversation, which was a conversation, not under oath, not an expert, nothing like that. We were talking about trying to educate you on the basics of this. So I may have given a very layperson explanation during our conversation, but I don't
holy
recall what it was.
shit.
In that lay opinion,
That is the no, we are going back because this is the pettiest that he has sounded. He is not happy. He is not happy with her trying to pinhole him, and he is getting snarky for the happy corner. It is, wow. Because, the happy corner does not get snippy, but this is about the snippiest I've heard him.
these examples, is it fair to say that was not something you told us back then?
I don't recall our conversation, which was a conversation, not under oath, not an expert, nothing like that. We were talking about trying to educate you on the basics of this. So I may have given a very
He's like,
layperson
"Bitch, I'm trying to
explanation
learn you
during our
something."
conversation, but I don't recall what it was.
In that lay opinion, and explanation was based on your medical degree too, right?
Medical degree, observations, again, especially when it comes to the liver, it's a huge spectrum of time and insult that you can see these changes from. So I don't know exact timing or duration where you would see these.
Thank you, sir. Nothing
Sure.
further.
This lawyer's like crap in a handbasket.
And from the state, any cross-examination?
No, I think you made our
Okay.
case for
Hello.
us.
How are you?
I'm good.
So just to make sure I understand this, the worksheet comes first, and that's some of your notes of things you need to look into.
Just some notes of my observations at that time.
Linda Lou, I believe she was trying to set up that Christopher Dickerson, the victim in this particular case, had a history of maybe binge drinking or drinking a lot. Again, the theory or the narrative that they are trying to tell is that a drunk and, aggressive Chris Dickerson at, I think, 6'2", 150 pounds, cornered Stacy Rodrigues. Stacy Rodrigues was so terrified for her life that she, according to Hosanna, hit him in the head with beer bottles, got him on the floor, pinned him on the chest with her knee, and then called for Hosanna to bring her the metal file. And then she proceeded to stab him in self-defense. Now, Stacy will be getting on the stand. I don't think anyone's going to buy that, especially with Chris being so oversized or undersized in this.
Oftentimes it just says pending. I don't have a clue. So it's variable.
And you noted something about the liver, and you looked into it in this case for Mr. Dickerson.
Yes.
And specifically, your ultimate conclusion after doing your microscopic examination was that Mr. Dickerson had a healthy liver.
Yes.
Okay. And that's your final determination, right?
Yes. In my report it says no abnormality.
And then you were also asked about, well, what if somebody's a chronic alcoholic and all of this? Have you seen chronic alcoholic livers before?
Yes.
Okay. Do they look very different than Mr. Dickerson's?
Again, if it depends on the individual. If we're just going to say a chronic alcoholic, documented history of that,
Yes.
yes.
Here's the problem with trying to get him to pin down. Everyone's physiology is going to be different. Like I have nerves that are supposed to be in my spine are actually outside of it. I found that out when they were trying to dull one of my nerves. It is everyone's going to be different, and the sort of physical changes in the body's metabolisms are going to be different. Yes, she stabbed him with the blunt end, not the sharp end. It is theorized that the handle was on when she was stabbing because she doesn't have any injuries, but it burnt up when he was on fire, basically. So it is really. I get where the defense is going. They are not going there well. And if they wanted to have a sort of expert on fatty livers, they should have gotten an expert in hepatology. Although that sounds like herpetology, which is lizards, so I don't know. And welcome, Mr. Cooper Raiders. I think I saw you in there, so welcome.
The liver would be microscopically, it would just be full of fat. It would be very clear, all these white bubbles, it would just be fat. If it's very bad alcoholism with cirrhosis, I would see that as well. We didn't have that here. I'm assuming based on that note on the worksheet, I saw a pale liver, because normally the liver is this nice red brown, but when it's pale, which could be from fat deposition, or it could be from massive blood loss. I don't know.
Tell me
Just
more
like
about
I
that.
said.
Massive blood loss. That could impact the liver?
Well, sure, because
Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Anyone else get, flashbacks from Greece? Did she put up a fight? Tell me more, tell me more.
blood flows through organs and it gives them that darker color. Kidneys normally look like an actual kidney bean, red-brown color, but when they're lost a lot of blood, it becomes more yellow-tan. It's just an observation because there's no blood flowing through there. Another reason for a pale-looking organ could be the artifactual effects of the heat that they're in. And here he was in a burning structure. So there are a number of reasons why his liver looked pale. I wrote down a note, I'm assuming at this point, looking back, because I saw it looked pale.
Okay. So to summarize those other aspects, being stabbed in the carotid artery and losing lots of blood like you described could be a factor.
Yes.
And being burnt afterwards in very high heat could be a factor.
Yes.
Those are my questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect examination? No?
No, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Doctor, you can
Defense, you've
Thank
done
you
a
so very much.
marvelous job.
And are we ready to resume with Mr. Burrows? All right. All right. Then we will resume the state's case. Mr. Burrows, you can go ahead and retake your seat. And Mr. Burrows, I will remind you that you are still under oath. And Mr. McCormick, I think we left off with admitting into the record 223. Are you intending on publishing that and asking questions about that at this time?
I am, Judge, and I do have copies to pass out for the jurors to follow on.
All right, thank you. Before you pass that out, ladies and gentlemen,
Ooh, are
I
we
have an
getting a
instruction to read
PowerPoint?
you regarding Exhibit 223. The evidence you are about to see and hear in prosecution's Exhibit 223 is presented as only a summary of other evidence. It does not replace your own independent memory or duty as a juror to determine the facts. It also does not place any more weight on the evidence summarized than any other evidence. You may consider it as a summary, but may not consider it for any other reason. Mr. McCormick, you can go ahead and publish. Will you assist Mr. McCormick, please?
All right, stand by.
I don't know about y'all, but the judge's disappointed, concerned, and thinking face always makes me want to clean my room. It's like having Jordan Peterson and your dad look at you disappointed, like, what is all that chaos behind you? Why? I taught you better. Like, honestly, he will make a great dad because that face right there would get his kids. Because the yelling doesn't hurt, but the disappointed face does. It's like, oh, my heart. That doesn't stop you from doing some dumb stuff as a kid, though.
Exhibit copy apart from the copies that are provided to the jury. And
Yeah.
maybe
Oh, don't scratch your boob. That's not subtle,
I
ma'am.
understand to be
Just-
a question from the jury. So with regard to 223, there will be one, for lack of a better word, official copy that is marked, that has the exhibit designation marked in red. Everything that you have are copies of that. If you choose to take any notes on there, if you want to, you may. You're not required to do so, but you
True.
can use those copies as sort of a
You
working
know,
copy.
She doesn't, it's an odd body shape when the boobs aren't as big on a bigger person, but she has more of an apple shape. I know, I love the second Grease. I had a big old crush on the English guy, also because he had an accent, or was he from Australia? I don't remember, but Michelle Pfeiffer was cool.
All right. Mr. McCormick, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
No problem. If we could publish 233, please, or 223.
And I should note, if it's not clear, when you go back to the jury room, please don't write on that one. Just only write on this one. Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. McCormick, go ahead.
When we broke with your original testimony, you had an opportunity in this particular case to prepare a timeline of events.
That's correct.
And this timeline is based on all the video surveillance that you observed,
Yes.
both in Mr. Dickerson's neighborhood in downtown Greeley.
Yes.
Did that also include Google locations of Mr. Dickerson?
Yes.
Did that also include phone records of Mr. Dickerson?
Yes.
Phone records of Miss Varela?
Yes.
Is there other information contained in here that you also reviewed during your investigation?
Yes.
What is that?
It speaks to like automatic license plate readers, cell phone indications, cell phone downloads, but it's primarily video surveillance, ALPRs, and then the Google locations and Ms. Varela's cell phone activity.
As well as videos provided to you?
Hey, Australia gave us both Chris Hemsworth and discount Chris Liam Hemsworth. So, and they gave us Road Warrior and Mel Gibson. And I think Nicole Kidman, if I'm not mistaken. But then she gave us Tom Cruise. And ew.
To you by Ms. Flores and Mr. Carrasco?
Correct.
So when this, to make sure, these timeline on every date or date and time, I guess time that you've entered in there, there's a corresponding exhibit number for reference.
That's correct. Yes.
So let's start kind of a little bit at the top and talk about, if you would describe what we're looking at initially.
Yeah, just at the top, I start with October 2nd. And what's to note is just when Christopher leaves for the downtown area.
And so we're clear,
Ooh.
underneath of that are corresponding exhibits
Nicole
that have been
Kidman,
entered into
upgrade.
evidence at this point for review and reference.
Yeah, so essentially when I speak of a specific time, like 11:56 p.m., it says Christopher
True.
Dickerson leaves his
I forgot
neighborhood
him, too.
in his blue 2018 Hyundai Elantra. And then in the brackets, it gives the exhibits that basically corroborate this based off the evidence.
And is it fair to call this timeline kind of like an overlay?
Sure.
Overview,
Turning
not
to
overlay.
page
Jesus.
2, at roughly 12, let's look at number 10, 12:46 a.m. What did you notice about that?
This is just an example. So, especially in this case, I was looking for time when things converged. So when video surveillance converged, when phone records converged, when Google locations converged, and that helped me kind of determine what was going on at that time. So 12:46, you just see two convergences. This is when Christopher arrives at the rear of Cubetta's, and then we cite his Google location shows him arriving at that time or around that time, and then we have video surveillance or still shots that also show him arriving. So it just is showing that the evidence is lining up with the timeline.
Okay. Let's go to page 3, please.
This
Specifically,
couldn't have been made into a
number
PowerPoint.
15. And what are we looking at 15?
Again, so this is essentially Christopher is at Roasties at this point, and this is showing when he's inside of the bar. It speaks to when he was inside of the bar, and this time is when he gets a phone call from Dolores Vigil, and she also makes let me rephrase that. He makes a phone call to Dolores. She receives that phone call, and that's backed by their phone records. And then the video surveillance, this is when you see Dolores holding Christopher's phone at the same time.
All right. And we'll talk about that here in a moment. And then is that consistent through this timeline where you are able to make, like you said, these convergences or things that caught your attention from your review of video and video of the neighborhood and downtown video?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And near the page 10, you incorporated in there as well the October 16th, 2021 date.
Yes.
And that's what you testified to previously today, where the ALPR reader picked up the Malibu on that date in the area of the victim's residence.
That's correct.
All right. So let me ask, I want to ask a series of questions in this particular case. You got involved in this case right away.
Yes.
And when you went, you did go to the scene.
Eventually, yes.
You had other people assisting through the Greeley Police Department in regards to searching the scene.
That's correct.
And that included Detective Blair.
Yes.
And was Detective Blair's primary responsibility to collect evidence if there was any?
Yes.
Now, did you participate in that as well?
I didn't collect any evidence directly, at least from the scene, no.
Well, once evidence is collected, right, do you have an opportunity to go through it or review it?
Yes.
And do you, depending on the case, consider submitting things for further or additional testing?
Yeah, it's on a case-by-case basis, but that is a determination we make.
And who are we talking about when we say submitting for testing? What type of organizations are we talking about?
Well, it goes to the Weld County Forensic Regional Laboratory and then CBI. That's a determination that we would send things in for them to be tested, and then they would make their determination analysis of the things that we asked or requested to be tested.
So some examples of things to be tested could be if a firearm was recovered or used in a crime,
Correct.
fingerprints,
Yes.
DNA.
Yes.
There's multiple disciplines that can be tested, right?
Yes.
So based upon your review of the evidence that was collected in this case, did you consider submitting any items of evidence to the lab for further testing?
So the only item we decided to submit was just a video surveillance to help us with that determination of clearing it up. When we looked at and when I reviewed the evidence that was on scene, due to it being an arson and everything being heavily destroyed, there was limited evidence that we could send in at the time.
Is the nature of arson type cases or investigations difficult to send evidence in for further testing?
It makes it challenging because it's not like a normal crime scene where we can have essentially what happened at the time for the most part, and we could gather evidence and try to reconstruct what took place. With an arson, mostly everything's destroyed for the most part. It makes it difficult to make that determination of what actually took place inside of the house.
There you have it, kids. First hearing ever, arson destroys stuff. Thank you for joining this after-school special, and don't play with matches. Use a lighter. Just kidding.
House.
In this particular case, did you take into evidence some beer bottles or beer cans?
Yes.
All right. Were those sent down for testing?
No.
All right. Where were they located?
The majority, I think, of the intact beer bottles and the cans, I think, were located in a trash can. I know the Budweiser beer bottle was located outside, and I think some pumpkin cans were located on the outside too. There might have been one that was located inside, but I think the majority were located outside.
All right. And why weren't those sent down for further testing?
So what that can tell us is essentially if there's serological or DNA evidence on it or latent print fingerprints on there. At this time, I knew who was in the house. Stacy was in the house, Christopher was in the house, Hosanna was in the house. I had no doubt about who was in the house. It was unequivocal. So that evidence can't help me further determine anything else because I already know who's in the house.
All right. Now,
Unequivocal.
you're familiar with the term forensic evidence?
Yes,
All right. Would you agree that that's helpful in a case?
it can be.
Would you agree that is it all of the case?
No.
What other types of aspects of a case do you look at?
Shake that water bottle. If it doesn't have bubbles in it, it is vodka. This man looks like he is on his last legs of give an F.
Forensic evidence is a piece of the case, and it can help us maybe potential puzzle pieces together or help us understand information we didn't know. But we also have other physical evidence that we gather, like surveillance footage in this case, cell phone records, that type of thing, and then witness statements as well. So it's just a piece of evidence that we look at and consider.
Now, you sat here through the testimony of Detective Blair, former Lieutenant Cobb, and you've seen numerous photographs of Mr. Dickerson's residence.
Yes.
And you recall there being like kitchen knives that were shown in some of the photographs?
Yeah, it looked like some common silverware or things associated with the kitchen, yes.
So were any of those initially collected?
Not that I know of, no.
Right? And were they initially sent down to the laboratory?
No.
Is there a reason why?
We had no indication that they were used at the time. I mean, they were heavily damaged by the fire. But We believed at the time that we had the weapon that killed Christopher Dickerson because it was in his neck. So we weren't sure that there was any other evidence or knife used.
And speaking of that, while you were in the initial day or two of this investigation, you were advised by the coroner of that information?
Objection, leading.
Okay. Were you advised by?
And I'm sorry, Mr. McCormick.
I'll do it again.
It sounds like you're going to rephrase. Go ahead.
Were you advised in the initial 24 to 48 hours of anything unusual by the coroner?
If you're speaking to that, yeah, he had an instrument in his neck and he had 5 sharp force injuries, yes.
Right. And were you advised as to what the cause and manner of the death was?
It was a homicide.
Is that important to you in your investigation?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, if it's a homicide, that means that somebody killed somebody. So it completely changes the course of our investigation. It wasn't an accidental death or anything along those lines or medical.
But based upon some of the information that you had at that time, did you secure another warrant for Mr. Dickerson's residence?
Yeah, over an abundance of caution, I secured a second warrant. One of the things we were looking at specifically, if there was any other knives or any other cutting instruments that we missed on the first search.
And what were the results of that second search?
I don't believe that we found anything of note as far as knives. We found some other unrelated material, but nothing as far as like a knife that we could determine that was used in any sort of manner to stab somebody.
This was a fire.
Yes.
Was there anything sent down for analysis to determine causation of the fire?
No.
And why was that?
So when we investigate fire scenes, we look at whether it was intentionally caused, whether it was recklessly caused, or whether it was a non-human causation of the fire. That would be like electrical or something along those lines. In this case, I knew it was intentionally caused because I watched it on video happen. So there was no doubt about whether or not this was an intentional cause. When we don't have direct video evidence or witness evidence, then we look to sending things off to forensics to determine what happened with this fire. And if there's accelerant there, that can help us know if it was intentionally caused. But in this case, I already knew it was intentionally caused because I watched it happen on video.
And also in your investigation, did
Yes, just for you people out there thinking of criming, please remember that everyone has a Ring doorbell camera because we all want to surveil not only ourselves but other people. Big Brother is us. I love it. Also, I want a Ring doorbell camera too. But Mr. Moe says that's, an extravagance that we can save up for, or because he wants to get a real system. But that being said, do not crime. Everyone has a Ring camera. You are not going to get away with it. Also, don't take the, decedent's cell phone with you. Drive around. Continue to have the cell phone when you switch cars to be all stealthy, because you still have his damn phone with you that's tracking you. So, in the end, don't do crime.
did you converse with then Lieutenant Cobb?
Yes.
Now, through this investigation, the defendant and Ms. Varela were arrested on November 11th of 2021.
They were.
And at that time, were any search warrants prepared for you or by you?
Yes, there was.
And did that include what?
Well, the night that we arrested Hosanna and Stacy, I got a search warrant for the 4540 First Street Road residence where they stopped for that 6 minutes. We searched there. Then in the ensuing days, I got a search warrant for the Malibu, which was used during the morning of the homicide. And then I got a search warrant for the Tahoe, which they switched vehicles from the Malibu to the Tahoe that same morning of the homicide.
In regards to
Don't
that residence
crime.
at, you said 4150?
4540.
4540, was anything located there?
Nothing of note, no.
And how is that residence associated with this defendant?
It's her brother's residence. It's also the the address she gave us when we arrested her, and it's the registered out to her Tahoe. So that's the address associated with her Tahoe.
And of course, the Malibu you've testified to a lot.
Yes.
That was, and were you able to determine who the individuals in the Malibu were?
Yeah, Stacy and Hosanna.
And the search of the Malibu, what did that yield?
Nothing of note.
And then the Tahoe?
Yeah.
We know from the ALPR reader that that was registered to the defendant.
Yes.
And through the course of that search, did you find anything?
Mostly clothing items that I could corroborate were worn
Ooh, then I need
either
another one.
the morning of October 3rd or on October 16th.
And those photographs have been entered into evidence and displayed for the jury?
Yes.
Published for the jury, all right. Now, if I'm correct, the residents, Malibu and Tahoe are all associated with this defendant.
That's correct.
Why did you not search anything in regards to Hosanna Varela?
Well, I did search things in regards to Hosanna Varela. I searched her phone records. I searched her cell phone. I searched her Facebook records, any digital evidence that I could obtain. If I authorized a search warrant for Stacy or sought one, I also sought one for Hosanna. When it came to physical locations, at that time, I did not have anything that was articulable to believe that evidence would be located then inside of that. For instance, when they go after the homicide near the 5800 block of 29th Street, they're in that location from, I think it was 557 to 559. That's 2 minutes. I had no indication that they went inside. Now that's different to 4540 First Street Road because I know that they were there for 6 minutes. I also know that the phone directly puts, Christopher's phone is directly one house east of 4540. So I know that it seems like they went inside a house at that time. And I also know that they switched to the Tahoe at that time. So that's how I looked at those facts and decided that there was more probable that there's evidence at the 4540 residence than associated with Hosanna's family.
Okay. And we'll take a little break, slow down. You're caught up?
I feel you
All right,
in my
so
soul.
Let me ask this.
This daylight savings time has been a real pain in the ever-loving butt. And we just need to get rid of daylight savings time. It's dumb. Indiana used to be smart and wouldn't do it, except if you lived near Chicago. But the part I lived in used to be sane. And then we went insane and decided, I mean, maybe it's swings and roundabouts because we finally got liquor on Sundays afternoon, though. But, you know, maybe we should give up daylight savings time for Lent.
I mean, when you're presented with an investigation, do you prioritize what to do?
Yes.
And what are those, how do you do that?
It depends. When everything's first happening, you're trying to gather evidence as quickly as possible. And once you get that evidence, you're trying to go through it.
Okay. So in a case of this particular nature with this set of facts, if you received a text message or phone call from an individual saying, I just witnessed a murder and I'm outside, would you prioritize that case differently?
And also, you guys, I haven't done a story on this because I wanted to see what developed, but Court TV has just put out that the high school athlete that beamed the other girl with the pole, is it a baton or a pole? A running stick. Anyway, she had the running stick and then you could see her wind up. I mean, this was not, look, I may not be acquainted with running, but I know a wind up to bop someone on the head because I have children. I have seen them wind up to bop each other on the head. She has been charged with assault and battery. So I did wonder if there were going to be charges brought down. I probably will cover that in the morning or do a separate video. I think it's good on one hand and sad on the other. I think that the family of the young girl who got hit just wanted a straightforward apology. And instead of doing that, the woman or the girl who hit the other girl in the head went on to, basically say it was istophobic. Yeah, her poor me thing. The quote that bothered me the most was, I know you're hurting physically, but are you thinking about my mental? And I was like, ma'am, you gave her a skull fracture. I get that you're a kid and you probably didn't realize that this was going to go viral, and it has completely gone viral. But the thing you could have done that would probably have stopped you from getting charges pressed on you would have been to, own up to your mistake. Look, it is not fun to come to the realization that you, in fact, are the a-hole. Believe me, I hate doing it. I hate realizing that, yes, in fact, I'm the a-hole in the situation. But then you take a deep, big old breath, you put on your big girl panties, and you apologize, and you atone for your things, for your actions. You don't put out, well, everyone is being so mean to me. No, we saw you wind up. Every angle sees you wind up. So, I'm sorry, but you could have just apologized. Even if it was an accident, even if you didn't wind up. The fact that you didn't apologize is really gross, and then you made yourself the victim. So I am not shocked that charges came after the, poor me kind of media blitz that this young girl did. And, actions have consequences. Self-control is a thing. Yeah, you could be pissed as hell that she's running faster than you, but that does not give you the right or make it right that you beamed her in the head. You did something, you made a choice, and now you're going to have to suffer the consequences. And instead of apologizing and being, truthful about what happened, you decided to pull the victim card, so I don't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. You made a choice. It was your hand that had the baton. You're going to have to deal with it now. On that note, I have to go deal with my wild ferals, so I will put up another stream probably around 6 o'clock tonight and get you guys, get this day finished, because I do believe that after this, we might get the state resting. But it does look like we have a lot more testimony from the lead investigator, and then we end the day. So I will put that up. There will be more Petty Express. I do want to get probably this weekend, maybe Sunday, depending on life. I do want to get to the Lori, it'll be a Lori Vallow Sunday, because I want to see if I can do the interview in which Jesus told her that she will be exonerated. You know, I'm kind of jealous because Jesus never sends me like a post-it note of exoneration. And I kind of want one, like preemptive exoneration, like a mulligan. I need a clendery indulgence, if you will. But we definitely need to get into Lori Vallow's shenanigans and craziness. I know that she did have a hearing, so it will be Lori Vallow Sunday. And don't forget to mark your calendars. I will be with Publicly Buzzed Friday night at about 9 p.m., and we will be watching and discussing the best movie of the 90s. I recommend it to everyone if you're having a bad day. It's beautiful, happy, fun. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll remember why the 90s were the best and feel kind of upset that we're stuck in current year. But on the whole, it's a great movie, so we will be watching it and discussing it. I will probably have had 9 Monster Energy drinks and enough Pixie Sticks to, you know, make expert proud. Love Phil Collins. So I will see you guys in just a little bit. Thank you for joining the Petty Express with your conductress Mo. We will be back for the snark, the wit, and hopefully the identifying of more chins. Because holy God, did I not expect that. But forensic chin analysis was a gem of a thing. This might be the greatest case that has ever happened for shenanigans. It started off a little slow, but I am loving this case. I will see you guys in a little bit. Have a great day. If you don't come back, or you needed to hear it from someone today, you are loved just as you are. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness doesn't equal doormat. Sweeties, I will see you guys later. Bye.